Speaking out of Akron, Ohio, representing Team Popping the Boys, the headline god, Jeremy Lambert, and his co-host, speaking out of Atlanta, Georgia, representing more than one royal family, the king of indie viewing, Stephen Jensen. And this is the Spotlight on Fightful.
Welcome everyone to the Spotlight. Shout out to Big Dick MLJ for the intro. Shout out to Gisberto for doing the thumbnail on this show. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That's Stephen Jensen. Jensen, how you doing on this Thursday morning, buddy?
Doing all right, man. Just getting the day going. Obviously we got some pretty heavy stuff to talk about this morning. And some fun stuff as well. This should be a good show. And we appreciate everybody who's here. But I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
Doing well. Guys, we appreciate joining us in the chat. Leave us a thumbs up on the video. Leave us a super chat. Get your question, comment, statement read on the air. If you are here and you are not subscribed to the channel for some reason, please subscribe to the channel. All right, let's get into it, Jensen. Real quickly, before we actually do get into it, later on, about 11 o'clock, we have our interview with Alec Price airing. Alec Price had a huge end to the year. I mean, he was doing good things all throughout 2022, but at the end of the year, really killing it on the independent scene and off to a strong start in 2023, doing Ironman matches, flying across the country to do matches, popping up in GCW, West Coast Pro, all over the country. Really fun interview with Alec Price. I will mention right now off the top of it, during the interview, we found out about the news of Jay Briscoe passing. I had gotten a message about it and I had lost my train of thought in the interview. And I mentioned it on air. I mentioned it to Jensen and Alec. So we talk about it a little bit as it happened. So the beginning of the interview, we talk wrestling. In the middle of it, I mentioned that Jay Briscoe had passed, and then we discussed that a bit, and then we get back on to some more wrestling and other stuff. But the interview is a little off, I guess, because of just finding out the news in the middle of the interview. So I apologize to everyone. I don't think after I learned of the news, I'm kind of off kilter, and I think we all kind of were as well. So just want to give everybody a heads up. During that interview was when we found out, and when I guess I told you guys that it happened. So otherwise, I think the interview was great. I especially love the first 12 minutes where Alec Price kicks the shit out of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think y'all are going to join the interview, and yeah, that's that was definitely strange because you know we weren't live, so like that made it a little bit easier, I guess, because like we weren't live on air as that happened, like interviewing him, but just for so that y'all know, and I may remind you before you hear the interview again as people kind of trickle in, but yeah, that's exactly what happened. We were in the middle of the interview with Alec, and Jeremy broke the news to both of us, and it was out of the complete blue, and so we basically at that point just kind of went over some of our favorite Jay Briscoe moments and talk about the Briscoe brothers a little bit and stuff. And then I just kind of did my best to compartmentalize it the best I could. And then we finished the interview because, it was a big deal for us to get Alec on the show. And we only have, a very limited amount of time each week for me and Jeremy where like our schedules line up. We can also get a wrestler on we have like an hour a week where like we can make that happen to get y'all an interview. So it was just one of those things where like Jeremy said, it was strange because like the interview was going awesome. And then we got that news, and then we just kind of tried to make it a little lighter on the way out and we talked like about Power Rangers and stuff towards like the end of the interview and stuff. And but yeah, I'm glad you brought that up though, because yeah, it was obviously none of us could have had any idea that was happening. And we just did our best to get y'all like a full interview, even though, so anyway, I'm glad you brought that up.
Let's go ahead and let's talk about Jay. I'm not going to do the bumper because no one needs to hear Billy Corgan's voice as we're about to talk about Jay Briscoe passing away. I'll do the bumper later when we do our other topic. So Jay Briscoe passed away Tuesday night, car accident, according to the statement put out by the Delaware Police Department. He was not wearing a seatbelt always wear your seatbelts, folks. There was a collision with another car. The person in the other car passed away as well. His 2 daughters were also in the car. Fortunately, they are still alive. His wife, Ashley, put out a statement that the one daughter needs surgery, and then the other one is serious injuries, but stable condition. So that's where we're at as far as updates on the just updates on the family and everything. And I do apologize. So Gracie needs surgery. I want to make sure I get their names. Gracie needs surgery, and Jay Lee it has serious injuries, but is stable. That is what his wife posted on Facebook on Wednesday. Jay Briscoe. We're both longtime ROH fans. We did ROH shows in the past, and I've talked about how much like ROH like helped my fandom at a very dead period when WCW went out of business. I said this in the interview with Alec, and I maybe I was wrong in calling them underrated, but I don't think it was really until last year they were like starting to get the flowers that they deserved, because they were 2 guys, Mark and Jay, who they never went to one of the top promotions. They didn't go to WWE. They didn't go to Impact when Impact was like red hot with like the X Division and Angle coming in and everything like that. They didn't go to AEW. Like they never went to like one of the high profile promotions, but they were just ROH staples. And you can't tell the story of Ring of Honor without the Briscoes. And I don't know if you could tell the story of tag team wrestling without the Briscoes. And they were always underrated, in my opinion, because they didn't get that love from more of the masses because they never went to one of those companies. Everybody talks about Usos, New Day, FTR, Young Bucks, like they all were at like top companies. Briscoes weren't there until they had this trilogy with FTR. People just didn't talk about them in that same light. And I'm glad they got some flowers last year. I wish they had gotten more, and I think they would have gotten more had everything shook out this year, because they were gearing up for, it seemed like a big run in ROH. But man, like people have asked me, what's a good Jay Briscoe match to watch? Like if I haven't seen a whole lot, like what's something good? It's like, just throw on legitimately any ROH show. You can literally go back to the first ROH show and Jay Briscoe is wrestling on that show. And there ain't really a bad Jay Briscoe match. Like when it comes to consistency, that guy had it. He was as consistent as they come. There's not really a bad Jay Briscoe match. And you could watch the FTR stuff from last year. That's obviously top class. I personally love everything he did with, or both of them did with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Kevin Steen, El Generico, and ROH. They had some great tag team matches. Jay beat Steen to win the ROH title. That was a big moment. So if you're looking for like one set of matches to like watch that isn't the FTR stuff, I can't recommend the stuff they did against El Generico and Kevin Steen enough. So that's where I would go if you're looking for something. But your thoughts on Jay Briscoe?
Yeah, man. I feel the same way, and those are all things that I would recommend as well. Especially like Ladder War and stuff like that. I mean, just classic. These matches, their matches together as a tag team against Kings of Wrestling, against World's Greatest Tag Team, against Motor City Machine Guns. Like there's a lot of. I mean, even recently, them just showing up in GCW and doing stuff in GCW was awesome. I got to see them live in GCW, which was really cool. And then Jay as a singles guy, you mentioned the Kevin Steen, the match where he won the world title. Really good match against Jay Briscoe against Jay Lethal. They had really good matches in Ring of Honor. Really, Jay, and that's the thing about Jay. He was just as good as a singles guy as he was a tag team guy. Like he should have been. We talked about it a little bit, I think, with Alec, but like he really, when you mention him being underrated, I understand what you're saying, because and I think he kind of corrected it in the same way that I would, where it's like they weren't really underrated because like people knew how great they were. It's just way more people should have known about them, and that's like the big. And then I'm not going to harp on this too much because I know there's people who feel different types of ways about this, but like I personally think it's ridiculous that they couldn't do a tribute on television last night to them. Like that's just sad in my opinion. Like I get the listen, I consider this full disclosure, and I really don't I try to veer away from saying anything controversial like through Fightful and stuff because like
unless
I
you
never want to miss right of course, but I never really want to I never want to misrepresent the platform or anything, and I just want to give my honest thoughts about this. Like I consider myself an ally to the LGBTQ plus community. Like I've always supported same-sex marriages and everyone being treated equally and being allowed to be with the people that you want to be around and stuff like that. Like I hate hearing homophobic stuff. Like it really does bother me when I hear that kind of stuff from people. But in his situation, it really seemed from all accounts that he did everything he possibly could to make it right. And the people closest to him in wrestling, people like Ian Riccaboni, whose voice really matters in a conversation like this, people like Effie, his Dark Sheik, people like these are people who their opinion matters a lot more than mine. And when it comes to this kind of stuff, and they're vouching and you know what I mean? It's one of those things where like, it's just so sad that something that he did so long ago that he really seemed to try to make right to the best of his abilities. It's just sad that like that carried this long to where they couldn't even do a proper tribute for the man on television last night. I think that's crazy.
It's sad and it's bullshit, honestly. Like if it's true, I Warner Media hasn't put out any type of statement. Sure. I doubt they ever do. We know how wrestling reporting
works.
But
even without that, just the fact that we're never allowed to be on AEW television, they had to do all this stuff through the Ass Boys instead of like actually just having them. You know what I mean? All of it was.
There's clearly a lot of smoke here with Jay Briscoe and the Briscoes not being on AEW television when ROH stuff took up half the show for the majority of last year. So there's clearly smoke with that. Yeah, I understand if they didn't do a full-on tribute show last night. I completely get that because it would have been they would have had less than 24 hours to put it together. And I don't know who they could have gotten, what they would have done. The other part of this is like Jay Briscoe was not AEW. Like he was ROH, but he was not. It's a different situation to me than Brody, who was very much established in AEW at that time. Jay Briscoe wasn't. So like I get why they didn't do, for various reasons, for many reasons, why they didn't do like a big time, like full on tribute show like they did for Brody. What I don't understand, and I don't know if Tony asked, I don't know anything about this. What I don't understand is how they just couldn't air a video package of just, his life and his career. I don't understand how they couldn't do that. And if it is because, well, we don't want this guy on our TV, we don't want to promote him type of thing, I think that's bullshit. And I tweeted this. I think it's bullshit because a minute after AEW Dynamite ended, you got fucking Dana White out there and you got him parading these guys slapping each other in the face 2 or 3 weeks after there's video of him slapping his wife in the face. So it is bullshit that they can't air a Jay Briscoe tribute video because of comments he made a decade ago. And I'm not defending the comments at all. They weren't good. They weren't right. He shouldn't have said it. But in that decade, he has apologized for those comments. He has shown actual remorse for those comments. He has taken steps to prove he has changed over those comments. And he has people in that community defending him and saying, this ain't him. What happened, what he said a decade ago, maybe he believed it then, but he learned, he educated himself, he bettered himself, and that's not who he is today. Dana White, 3 weeks ago, slapped his wife. Get him the fuck out of here, all right? I don't need anything of Dana White on UFC, Power Slap, whatever. If you can air that bullshit, you can air a Jay White tribute video or a Jay Briscoe tribute video.
Yeah. I mean, dude, and that's a whole other thing. I could sit here for the next hour telling you how my feelings on Power Slap alone and just what a bad look it is. Well, no, I'm just saying, but to your point, that's a big part of the issue that I have with it is like, that's a whole rabbit hole. Because you're right. Dana White literally is on video slapping his wife. He's admitted to it. He's totally owned it. It's almost strange. Like, he's just like, yeah, I did it. Like, but if I go away, the UFC's screwed. So what are you guys gonna do about it? Just like,
he
that's
has to
weird.
own it. It's literally on video. Like, he can't.
No. I'm saying he's and I'm not saying this is in a good way either. I'm just saying, like, it's been a weird situation because, like, he's basically admitted what he did was totally wrong. And like, he should pretty much be canceled over it. Like, he said that, but he's like, but because I run the UFC, I'm just like, I know, but it's like, he's just like, but like anyone else in his position would be gone. That's what's the craziest thing about this is, like, not only did he get to stay and no repercussions outside of like public perception, they then started airing this show about slapping other people on television that he runs right after Dynamite. Like, that's not a good look for the UFC. That's not a good look for anybody. I think that was, and then the sport itself is like, dude, listen, I get that there's a level of goofiness and weirdness and stuff in our world of professional wrestling. I completely get that, right? Like, the stuff that we like, it's not for everybody. I get that. But like, what I saw on that power slap last night was just so embarrassing. All of it was just so embarrassing. And then the Dana White stuff was just the cherry on top, just knowing what he recently did. So it's such a bad. So anyway, no, the reason I even said any of that is because to reinforce your point of like that entire slap fight or power slap thing is such an embarrassment. And a big part of that embarrassment is Dana White literally slapping his wife. And that same network is okay with airing that. All they did in that situation, by the way, was not show commercials for 1 week. That was it. That was it. And Jay Briscoe's over here. Not you can't air a video package for Jay Briscoe. Yeah. That's insane.
Again, if everything is true, it was a Warner Brothers call. And again, there's enough smoke. I would think Tony Khan, being the wrestling fan that he is, having the respect he has for the Briscoes and knowing their history and stuff, I would imagine he probably wanted to do more than a graphic at the beginning of the show and then some comments on commentary. And guys wore armbands. The Bucks did a doomsday device and things like that. But there should have been a video package, and I do imagine that was a Warner Brothers call, and I think it's bullshit. Let's get back to actual Jay Briscoe memories. You talk about the matches and stuff. Again, I don't know if there is a bad Jay Briscoe match. I'm sure it's somebody who's watched a lot more Jay Briscoe than I have. Maybe they're like, this one wasn't great. But for the most part, as consistent as they come, just great matches, whether it's singles, whether it's tag team, all throughout. I've been watching a lot of Jay Briscoe promos over the past couple of days. This man he's so good because it's so authentic. Like, it's clearly he has a camera. He turns the camera on. They shoot all this stuff at the farm and everything. And it's just like, who's my opponent? Okay, cool. It doesn't look like he has any type of a plan. It's clearly no script on this. Maybe he has like bullet points of stuff he wants to like hit in his head or something like that. But it's just turn the camera on and just he starts riffing and Mark's there and Mark's like ad-lib and stuff like, who's that? Aussie Open? Never heard of him. What do they do? And then like they're just going back and forth with each other and stuff. It is so real. And it is so authentic. And that's like my favorite type of promos in wrestling. I love the authentic promos. And, if there's a little bit of a stumble or if there's a little bit of like just kind of stream of consciousness type of thoughts is why I love like Hangman Page and Jon Moxley promos because they always just come off very real. Like, I love that stuff. And it don't get more authentic than a Briscoe's promo. It just doesn't. The wife showed me the one that Matt Hardy did where Matt Hardy is like doing the weed eating and stuff. And it looks like Matt's never used this thing in his life. He says like Jeff does this as a hobby. I feel like Rebby's dad in the Impact stuff, like he was always doing like the landscaping stuff. I think that was the bit. And like Matt's got it. And he's like, just kind of, here we go. And Jay just has it. He's got the dip in his mouth and everything. Just making the line and everything, just spits the dip out, just looks at the camera like, fuck out of here. Like, you do weed eating? This is the competition we're going to do? Like, no, I've had a weed eater in my hand since I was like 8 years old. Are you kidding me? Don't test me on this. But Oh, their promos were so good. Everyone brings up the Terry Funk don't wear a damn mouthpiece. Like, that's a great promo. I like the line of like, focus. Like, we ain't got time to like get our mind right and stuff. Like, we got shit to do. We ain't got time to focus on stuff. Like, Briscoe's promos are so damn good because again, they are just so authentic of turn the camera on and just go. Just go, and that's it. And like, you can watch the matches. I implore people to just like watch the promos. I think those are absolutely fantastic. Bonkers brings up Briscoe's Good Brothers barn segment from Impact. There's the barn fight that the Briscoes did during the pandemic as well, where they're just going around. Like, cinematic matches got very overplayed as the pandemic wore on. That is one that still had some one authenticity to it and two like originality to it after there were just like so many cinematic matches.
Yeah, and a big reason why Jay and Mark, I mean, it's hard to talk about one without the other because they're both so similar in so many ways, but it was just the authenticity. They're just so authentic, those guys, and just so believable. I love, like, there was a recent promo that I loved. I think it was them cutting a promo on FTR. It was within the last year, and Jay is as serious as you can be. He's got those eyes that you just right into the camera, and he's talking his trash. And Mark's in the background, like sipping on a Capri Sun. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I love that kind of stuff. It's just like, and me and Doug on our show on Tuesday, because we actually did our show Tuesday night, then the night that this news broke, and we were talking about the life of Jay Briscoe, and Doug brought up a really good comparison for MMA fans that I never even put together, and I was like, oh my god, that's so similar. They're like that. They're the pro wrestling Diaz brothers, those two guys.
Oh yeah.
Like they're so like even to the personalities almost. You know what I mean? Like just authentic. Don't care what you think about them. And just so both great at what they do. And then you got like Mark is very much like the Nate of the family. Jay was very much like the Nick. And it's just like there were so many similar traits between the two. And I was like, this is exactly how I'd feel if like Nate Diaz died. You know what I mean? I was like, this is so like or Nick Diaz, I guess this. But it was just so anyway, I want to throw that I've never thought about that before, but it was like, yeah, it's like one without the other is just such a strange feeling. And then also, of course, all of our love goes out to Mark and the rest of the family, of course. It was Mark's birthday yesterday. And like, this is just an overall, just an absolutely terrible situation. Like there's nothing really positive that you can really take out of this, unfortunately. It's just a really, 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 and that's the other thing with like wrestling deaths and stuff. Like this has nothing to do with wrestling. This is just a random, it could happen to anybody. And that it's scary and it's sad. But like, man, it is out of the complete blue, just 38 years old. So, and I don't know what the future for Mark looks like. Obviously, we all need to support whatever his decision is, whether he wants to return to wrestling or whatever. I'm sure that's the last thing on his mind right now. But if he does come back, that will be one of the most emotional things I think wrestling fans have ever experienced would be his return, in front of fans. But yeah, this is just an absolutely terrible situation for everybody involved. Just awful. And yeah, but Jay really was one of the, I mean, I hate to even label it like this, but he was one of the best independent wrestlers I've ever seen in my life. And he should have been one of the top, he should have been a massive star in American wrestling in either the WWE or AEW. Like he really should have. And Mark should have been right there with him. They should have been a much bigger name as a tag team and as singles guys. But it is what it is now. And now all we can really do is hope that the people that can pay tribute to him or are willing to pay tribute to him do so, and respect the family. And, it's wild, man, when I didn't see it. We were live, I think at the time, or maybe when I don't know what the timeline exactly was, but I've heard that they even mentioned this like on NXT programming. They mentioned that
they did.
So, yeah. I mean, even companies that he never was a part of, or Like that's what's so baffling with the Turner stuff is like he's with Ring of Honor. It's all the same thing, really. And like, I mean, I'm imagining WWE will run something. I don't know what footage they're allowed to use or whatever, if any. But like, I feel like we're gonna get a better tribute from WWE than we got from AEW last night potentially, which is wild.
I don't know if WWE, they did mention it on NXT television that Vic Joseph and Booker T, they cut to them and they had mentioned it. I don't know if WWE is going to do a graphic or anything. They did retweet, like the official WWE account did retweet like wrestlers tweeting out tributes and stuff. I know they treated like they retweeted like Bailey's comments, the Usos comments, and other comments who remembered Jay after his passing. So the official account did retweet that stuff. I don't know if WWE is going to do anything. I'm truthfully not expecting it. If they do a graphic, that's kind of more than I would expect. Like Triple H did comment on it as well. Again, if they do a graphic, I think that's more than I expect. Honestly, it
probably
would be
armbands again over there. Too.
Yeah, I'm sure there would be like, Owens and Sam, you're gonna like wear some type of armband. I'm sure they will have just some comment in there. Maybe they will say Terry Funk didn't wear no damn mouthpiece. Like I'm sure they will have some type of reference to the Briscoes or say Dim Boys or something. It would be great if, again, I don't know if this is feasible. I don't know how much footage they have of like anything, Jay, because he was just so much on the independents. It would be great if they did call up Tony and are like, hey, can we get some ROH footage and just air something on SmackDown for him? I don't expect this at all. I don't think anybody should expect this, but it would be really nice to see if something like that did happen. And it would show that, and it would show a good unification of the wrestling world when, unfortunately, it seems like only things like this bring us together. But it would be really nice to see something like that happen. Again, I don't expect any of this to happen, but it would be cool. It would be cool. My expectations are at like a graphic to start the show, and even then, that might be asking for too much, which feels weird to say. Like I don't think a graphic to start the show is it's not the most difficult thing in the world to do, but we know how WWE used to operate, obviously new management and stuff now, how it used to operate where it's like, well, he was never part of the company, so why are we going to put this graphic out there? And maybe a graphic would be a good step. If they do anything more than a graphic, I think that shows that, hey, we're actually coming together for something more meaningful than our stupid, petty little wrestling war here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that would be a great kind of loophole of like Tony being like, they're not letting me do one. So you know what? Yeah, you can use the footage for a night. Go ahead.
Who knows? Maybe Fox will nix that and be like, nope, not doing that. It's like, who knows what Fox's standards are. Kai says the level of believability Jay brought to the table was A1. Facts. An amazing talent, brother, father from all accounts. Thoughts and prayers for the family. And that Jensen mentioned this, and I've touched on it on other various appearances and pop-ins that I've done. But my heart really does go out to the family because I'm a stepdad. I'm a husband. Like losing for his wife, for his children, losing that figure in their life is irreplaceable. Honestly, I know they have a lot of family. Obviously, they Mark, the brother, and everything. Like I know they have a lot of family, and that's great that they're gonna have that support system there. You cannot replace a father and a husband, especially as young as he was. The circumstances are horrific as well. Like it's going to be tough for them, and I really feel for them, and I hope that support system is there for them the entire time, because I just can't imagine what they go through. So yeah, my heart does go out to Jay Lee, Gracie, and Ashley, and their son as well, because it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I echo all of that, and it's heartbreaking. Like I saw that video floating around of Jay like doing his like, it was like a cheer routine with his daughter. It's just like, oh my god, dude, like that's just because you could tell like that's the real Jay Briscoe, was like that man who was like, he was just about his family like that. Just it's terrible, man. I really feel bad. I really feel bad for him or for his family. And, obviously I wish he was still here. It's hope, like I said, all we can really do is, continue to pay tribute to him the best that we can as like people who like cover wrestling or whatever, and like keep the memories out there, and just hope that the people who have access to his career like can do right by him and keep him out there for people, for him and for his family. It's like the way that they handled the Brody thing was like really, really special, I feel like. And I feel like we need to see more of that kind of stuff for wrestlers, like just keeping them out there, the action figures. Like that's another thing. Like they need to make, like, we need Jay Briscoe Jazzwares, like AEW style action figures. Like the fan, like we need some stuff that we can like really have to remember this guy. Like I'm hoping that they put out, and I'm sure they will, but I'm hoping they put out some sort of shirt or something that the fans can buy, that like all the money goes to his family, and like so the fans have something that they can represent for him, but like all the money goes to him.
I know Dax tweeted like somebody was going to make pins of like the dog collar match, like Briscoe and FTR pins, and Dax was like, as many as you make, I'll buy them all, and all that money's going to his family. I would hope that there is something like that of like, put a shirt out and all the money goes to his family. Do whatever you can, and that money goes to his family. I would imagine, and I do hope that something like that does happen. Yeah, do Briscoe's action figures, man. You imagine how much those would sell and get all that money to his family? That'd be great.
You have so many different ones you could do because they were around for so long. You got like the OG, like wearing a singlet when they were like scrawny era, like with like the shaved heads. You got Jay with the big dreadlocks. You got, you got so many different versions of those two dudes over the years that you could put out there. And like, it was always changing. Like for a while, like Jay would have the long hair, then he'd shave it all off, and Mark would be the dude with the long hair. Like they were always different, and they just in general are just so different. And that's, if you can be original in pro wrestling and back it up in the ring, like that's, to me, that's the recipe for a star. Like being unique and being able to back it up when the bell rings. Like, and those guys were the definition of that, just being different. And every one of their matches is good. I've never seen a bad Briscoe's match. I've literally never watched either of those guys and been like, damn, I'm wasting my time with that one. Never. So, I mean, that's a real testament to those guys. And then Jay, I mean, once again, as a singles guy, all the way to the top of Ring of Honor World Champion. And then we haven't even talked about, like, they did stuff in New Japan, and we said a little bit, in Impact. They were everywhere. GCW, they were everywhere except AEW, WWE. But and even without being in those two places, there's a strong argument that can be made. Top 5, dead or alive, legitimate. One of the best tag teams ever. So,
the wife just sent me this, and I'm trying to do some due diligence to make sure it is legit. But somebody posted on Facebook, and they tagged the family. They tagged the family, and no one has like said it's not legit. I'm gonna share this in the chat. I don't want to put it out like further on the description or anything, but it is it's called a Give and Go, or Give Send Go. Sorry, a Give Send Go for the Briscoe family. Again,
okay.
By all accounts, it looks very legit. If you do want to like hold off and not donate to it, I completely understand that. But again, they've tagged the family, and no one has on the Facebook has said that it's not. So I'm going to share it in the chat right now. It's a Gives and Go for the Briscoe family. It's there in the chat if anybody wants to check it out. If you do want to donate, go for it. If and you want to make sure you want to give it a chance to. Maybe you can research it a little bit. I'm talking to anybody in the chat. Research it a little bit better than I can, as we're on air right now. But again, in my quick research, it looks like it is a real thing, and it by someone who knows the family. So I hope that's true. Nobody needs to fucking be scamming this type of stuff out there.
Just look out for the Chris Jericho donation. You'll know that it's real, because you're that
legitimately. One, I don't know how public this is. It looks like it says on the thing, like, this is the only campaign that has been approved by the family. I don't know how this stuff works, how you can set it up. Like, I'm sure you can set up fake scams and all this different kinds of stuff, but it looks like it's very recently set up. So there's not a lot of donations to it now. I don't even know. This was posted on Facebook like 20 minutes ago, less than. So it's very, very recent. And again, that's why I don't know how much it fully checks out. And so I'm sure within like the next hour, if we see all these donations roll in as it gets more publicity, then it'll be something. But yeah, there you go. And hopefully, hopefully it is legit. And if you want to donate, go feel free to donate. Cause yeah, that family, they need more support than just monetary, but that is a good step. The wife just said he's Facebook friends with both of them too, which I assume is Jay's Facebook. He's friends with the people who post this on Facebook. So again, it seems very legit. So yeah, there you go. I'm actually gonna tweet this out. I'm not going to play a WWE bumper because Vince McMahon comments after talking about Jay Briscoe. Not doing that. But guys, let's move on. We're gonna try to move on the best we can and get into our normal, more a little lighthearted show. Jensen, it's your moment. He's back. There's more than one royal family. Adrenaline in your soul. Cody Rhodes on the road to the Royal Rumble. I tried to do roll, didn't really work. He's back, Jensen. The Royal Rumble, Cody, the American roller coaster. He's back.
He is. I see people that are complaining online that are like, Royal Rumble, like, there's no surprises anymore. Like we all know he's coming back to Royal Rumble. Like you didn't, whether you announced it ahead of time or not, we all knew. So you might as well just announce it and just get the hype going. That's the story heading into the Royal Rumble. That's the story, hopefully for me, heading into WrestleMania, is him winning the Royal Rumble, going on to winning the title at Mania. But now there's also speculation of, well, if they gave away the Cody thing, then the real surprise is going to be The Rock then. It's like, okay, well, maybe that's the case. I don't know. But what we do know is Cody's coming back. I mean, obviously, I'm very excited for it. Looks like he's in great shape. I've heard little things here and there from like Nightmare Factory people that he's seen like fairly recently, and they're like, yeah, he's looking good. You know what I mean? Like, it's the comeback is going to be strong. And it's all about, I mean, all of his promos it's all the same thing. it's the, you know, the whole reason he's here is to win the big one, and that's winning the WWE Championship. So, yeah, I'm obviously very, very excited for it. And it was kind of refreshing just to be like, okay, it's out there. Like, they announced that it's happening. Just get the hype train going. We have what, like 1 week until the Royal Rumble? Is it next weekend?
Yeah, it's next weekend.
So, yeah, and for me, somebody who really doesn't care about the WWE product outside of whatever Cody's doing on the show, it drags me back in because now I'm like, okay, good. He's for sure going to be there. I mean, I'm going to watch the Royal Rumble anyways, but now I know, like, this is the story. And if he gets eliminated from the Royal Rumble and doesn't win this thing, I'm going to lose my mind. But I'm also going to be like, okay, well, where's this going? You know, like, I'm interested in whatever Cody's doing. So, you know, how do you feel about it? I mean, it's one of those things, like, everyone knew it was going to happen. So it wasn't like some big surprise, but like, I mean, it's official now, at least.
I didn't think the moment they started airing these video packages for him, they were tipping off that he was going to be in the Rumble. So at that point, you may as well just announce it and just go for it. Our pal Lisa says Brock eliminates Cody. Oh man, how mad would you be if Brock eliminated Cody, Stephen Jensen?
Only silver lining there would be, like, I am interested in Brock versus Cody potentially, as long as Cody beats him. Like, that I think would be an interesting match. But Issa, I don't like that idea though. Overall, I do think Cody needs to win the Royal Rumble. I hope you and your very, very cute dog Roman are having a good day. That's my favorite dog on the internet. I love little Roman. He's the best. I love those little Yorkies.
Who would piss you off the most if they eliminated Cody from the Rumble?
like who on the roster would bother me the most? If
what if it
you're
was
basically asking who's my least favorite person on the WWE?
And what if it was like Baron Corbin eliminated him?
Oh man. I'd honestly have to look at the WWE roster. Because I don't even know. I mean,
half the wrestlers in the company.
I don't know who's on what show anymore or anything.
That doesn't matter. It's the Rumble. You could just pick.
Well, no, I'm just saying this in general. Like that's how out of the loop I am. Let's see. I'm just looking through the current roster right now. The sad thing is they have a really good roster. Just I don't care about the show. Like I'm going through and like there's good. Honestly, just because of the fear I have of what it would be. Oh no, was someone in the chat said Dom? Yeah, and
Dom rules though. At Broken Wheelchair said Dom. Dom is great.
Okay, definitely not Dom. So yeah, that would be high.
Cody's already got a prison tattoo on his neck. They should be a team more than elimination.
Get out of here. And then listen, I actually like Omos. I actually do like Omos. No, unironically, but I wouldn't want to see him eliminate Cody. I would say probably the one that I would be the most fearful for would be Bray Wyatt, because
I don't think he's in it.
Either do I, but I'm just saying like that's the one that would scare me the most because I'm so not into this whole Bray Wyatt stuff with Uncle Howdy. I just think it's so extra goofy that like I just can't. I'm too old for it. If I was 8, it would be probably great, but I'm 34, so But so
what if Stephen Jensen, Cody, he's there, he's in the ring. You know what? It's down to 2 men, but number 30 has not come out yet. All right. What if down to 2 men and he eliminates whoever Drew McIntyre, we'll say. He eliminates Drew McIntyre right as the buzzer is about to sound for number 30. And then number 30 here.
No, just get out of here.
Look in my eyes.
No.
What do you see? Person that's gonna eliminate Cody.
Get out of here, dude. Yeah. So like the reason that I'm fearful for Bray though is because, for one, it's been reported that the people that Cody has decided to train with heading back to the ring, it was surprising that Joe Gacy was one of those people. And not because Joe Gacy can't work. He's actually a really good worker. I actually like Joe Gacy a lot. But he's very similar like to Bray Wyatt in a lot of ways. And I'm like, I wonder if Cody's trying to get some reps in with a guy who works and is like kind of the same size. And I'm like, and I know at some point they're going to go to Bray Wyatt versus Cody, because they're going to go to the Husky Harris being coached by Cody on NXT, and like eventually those two are going to cross paths. I just don't want that to happen until long after all the important stuff for Cody has happened. Like he needs to win the Rumble, he needs to get the title, do some cool stuff with the belt, and then maybe visit some goofy, wacky Bray Wyatt weirdness. But like, so I'd say that'd be like my biggest fear would be like being eliminated by someone like that, where like, okay, now he's not getting the title and he's going to get sucked into a story that I don't care about. That would be unfortunate. CM Punk respecting him would be we're not going to go down that road. You're only doing that to make me mad. I get it, Jerry.
Yeah. Everybody in the chat, respect my freestyle there. That was off the top of the head, that remix of Cult of Personality. I understand if you didn't recognize the song.
Oh, I recognized it.
Yeah, you were immediately shooting it down right when I hit that first riff there.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be crazy if he appeared at the Royal Rumble. But I honestly, at this point, I honestly think CM Punk's going to come back to AEW eventually. That's the kind of the gut feeling I have at this point.
Anything else on Cody besides your adulation and jubilation that he is back at the Royal Rumble?
No, I mean, well, obviously that'll be my WWE spotlight if he wins the Royal Rumble.
It's gonna be your spotlight for like the next year, just whatever Cody does.
Yeah, I mean, y'all will hear plenty. You'll hear plenty about Cody Rhodes throughout the roads to WrestleMania. So, but yeah, I'm very happy that he's back. I can't wait to see it.
My WWE spotlight is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They had another great match in the main event on Fox. Like, who would have thought Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn would just be main eventing a show on Fox? This past week on SmackDown, Sami was setting up for the Helluva Kick, and then the Bloodline ran in and attacked Owens, causing a disqualification. And Sami was a little taken aback by this because he was out to prove himself to Roman Reigns, and he wanted to defeat Kevin Owens and make things right for Roman. And instead, the Usos and Solo Sikoa cost him this opportunity. I think it's Mitch Giff is his name on Twitter. He does a great job with like the Kevin and Sami stuff. So he posted these gifs of, Solo Sikoa runs and does this big splash onto Kevin through the table, and he did the flashback, the drawback, the callback. That's the word I was looking for. He did the callback to when Sami saved Kevin from Shane jumping off the top of Hell in a Cell as he was going through the table. And, Sami was stunned when he saved Kevin. It's like, oh, how can I do this? But like, this is my friend. That's why I had to save him. And this time he did not save Kevin, but he had kind of the same look on his face of like, oh man, how could I not save Kevin here? So one, Sami Zayn, just fantastic. The range that he can show, conveying the same emotion, but for different reasons. Just a great job by Sami Zayn. And I'm more interested now in this story than I already was. And I was already interested because it looked like that, like, oh, they're just going to turn on Sami. And I still think that might be coming. It's like, we're just going to turn on Sami. But now there's a part of me that thinks like, maybe Sami is just like, you guys keep attacking my friend. Like I proved myself. He said they were done. He said we were done. And then you guys just keep attacking him. And now like, you won't let me shine on my own after I've done all of this for you. Like I'm tired. And like, maybe he gets fed up with it. There's interesting ways I feel they can go with this storyline.
Yeah, I agree. Because we were assuming this whole time that the Bloodline was eventually going to turn on him and it was going to be like vicious, but there is more of a chance, I feel like, that maybe Samuel will be the one to turn. I saw was it this past Friday on SmackDown? I think it was when they did like Roman like chewed out Sami in the ring. But then like backstage, they were talking in the locker room.
That was 2 weeks ago.
That was 2 weeks ago. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So, but I'll bring that up though, because that's a big part of this. So that was very interesting to me because because Roman wound up apologizing to Sami afterwards. But like I love the way that the dynamic between the two is really, really good. And I think it's really smart how they kind of throw you curveballs throughout the whole thing. And Paul Heyman is brilliant by doing hardly anything. He's always just in the background making faces, just scared of Roman, but then he'll be like kind of shocked and relieved if Roman is nice to Sami and stuff. It's just very, it's entertaining. It's a really intriguing story. It's really, really good. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny how he just, he's like, nobody deserves to be talked to you like that. I'm sorry. And you're just like, he's apologizing to Sami Zayn. He's
gaslighting
really
this man does.
I know. That's what's so good about it. I mean, so it's, and Paul Heyman knows the whole plan already. So you're just like kind of viewing. I'm always looking at Paul Heyman when stuff's going on because he's always reacting.
I've said this before and on other shows. It's like everyone rightfully praises basically everyone in the Bloodline for their performances. I really don't think Heyman gets enough credit because we're used to him being very vocal, very boisterous in everything he says and like really advancing the story with his words. He doesn't talk as much in the Bloodline, but he still does such a great job of advancing the story just with his facial expressions and his little comments and stuff in the background. Like he's so good at doing that stuff. And like, that's smart to just like, look at how Heyman is reacting to some of this stuff. And like, you can kind of see where seeds are being planted and where things might be going just based on like kind of Heyman's little reactions and stuff. But yeah, Heyman deserves, for someone who his speaking part has been diminished about as much as you can diminish a Paul Heyman speaking part, especially given what we've seen from him over the years. And he still finds a way to stand out, which is, you know, that's the mark of just a great performer, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's the best, whatever you want to call him, manager, advocate, whatever, in wrestling history. I know there's arguments that can be made for other people and stuff, like Bobby Heenan and stuff. I get it. But like, to me, Paul Heyman's just the best ever at that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, and now Royal Rumble's right around the corner. If there's going to be some sort of turn or implosion or something heading into WrestleMania, which, you know, I'm assuming it's going to be the Usos versus Zayn and Owens at Mania for the titles is what I feel like we're heading towards.
Yeah.
So something's got to happen soon. So getting really interesting.
I think Rumble will be a big part. Roman's not going to be in the Rumble, but it's obviously facing Kevin. I imagine Sami, I even imagine the Usos will be in the Rumble. Solo will definitely be in the Rumble. There's going to be something there that makes it, that like really elevates things. And then night after Rumble is where I could really see things, because I think Elimination Chamber, that's in Canada, that's in Montreal. That's where we're gonna see something. I think that's where we're gonna get Sami against Roman. And I understand that Sami's not gonna win that match, but I think that's where we're gonna get Sami and Roman. You got to set that up within the next few weeks here. And I think night after the Rumble is the time to set that up. And I think that is where we actually get like a big Bloodline beatdown of Sami. I don't know how they're going to get there. There's a variety of ways they could honestly just do Sami and Roman at Elimination Chamber as they're still part of the Bloodline together. And then they do the beatdown after the match and Kevin makes the save there. Or they could do the turn before to set it up. Like they have ways to go to get there, however they get there.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna hit the AEW spotlight, our first bumper today.
Over 1 million fans and a great number in the demo tuned in. It was a great show, and I think it's been a run of great shows.
Tony Khan tweeted as much, that he believes they've had a run of great shows. Let's start with your AEW spotlight, Jensen. That is Top Flight picking up the victory last night on Dynamite against the Young Bucks. And, you know, big win for Top Flight. Definitely the biggest win of their career, defeating 2/3 of the Trios champions in a very good match. And seems like we're setting up for the Elite against Top Flight and AR Fox relatively soon on some Dynamite.
Yeah, which is going to be great. That'd be a great Trios match. And yeah, Top Flight, I wanted to make this the spotlight today for me, because that's a huge win for them. I mean, the Young Bucks rarely lose in tag team action on AEW TV. In my opinion, they're the best tag team in the world. I totally get the argument for FTR and other teams, and trust me. But like for me, for what I like out of wrestling, I think the Young Bucks are the best tag team in the world. And I'm actually wearing a t-shirt right now. I didn't realize that. But you know, to my memory, I know that they've wrestled each other like at least twice. Young Bucks versus Top Flight, and Top Flight's Young Bucks have beat Top Flight on both the other occasions. And this feels like, you know, the only I guess criticism, which it isn't even, this is kind of apples to oranges, but I've seen this out there a little bit. People that were really quick to be like, well, I remember when Private Party beat the Young Bucks in the tag team tournament, and then that really didn't go anywhere for Private Party. Where are they now? And I get that. That line of thinking. You're not wrong about that at all. But we gotta kind of have, I feel like we gotta have a little more faith in what they're doing with Top Flight. I mean, it's so clear that they have had big plans for Dante Martin, specifically when Darius was out. And now they're both healthy and like they're a great tag team, have been for a long time. And clearly they are very high on both of these guys. To give them a big win like that over the Young Bucks, continue to push them even through the multiple injuries, to stick with those guys. That's a real vote of confidence, I feel like, to continue to be like, we still believe in y'all. Like, we're not going to just give up because you got hurt a couple times. Like, you're a big part of our future. And you can really see that. So yeah, and I mean, it was just cool to see, and it was a clean win. It wasn't like a whole bunch of BS or anything. They just Darius just was able to get a really good basically victory roll onto Matt Jackson, and got in deep with like crossing his legs and got all the weight down, and it was a very like believable pin that you just stuck him. Matt couldn't kick out straight up. So yeah, I mean, I liked it a lot, and it also, you don't want to do it too often, because we did see something kind of similar with like Action Andretti beating Jericho recently and stuff. You don't want to make it too regular of a thing where you see upsets like this, but you do want to see upsets like this occasionally. You really do, because it keeps you on your toes and makes you think that really anything can happen, as long as the Young Bucks aren't going out there and losing every time they do tag team matches from now on. If this is, they lost this, but the next 10 times we see them, they're winning, impressive matches, so on and so forth. It really sticks out to the fans, I think, to be like, damn, Young Bucks are killing it. But like, remember, Top Flight just beat them like not that long ago. Like, Top Flight's got to be in line for something. You know what I mean? It really elevates everybody when you do stuff like that. As long as you keep the Young Bucks looking strong, which obviously they are. They're currently the Trios champions. This just only elevates Top Flight to higher levels for themselves. And I think they need that right now for the tag team division, by the way, because the Acclaimed stuff, you can already tell I think they're going to start pulling Billy out of that, is what it looks like. Based on what I was seeing last night, I think there's like some dissension there, or like they're starting to see some seeds are being planted for Billy Gunn to no longer be a part of Acclaimed, I feel like. And, I think the Acclaimed are great, and I think they should be the tag team champions right now. But you do need more challengers and potential next champions. And I think Top Flight is a team that definitely needs to be in that conversation of who might be up next. You know what I mean?
I hope Billy Gunn is not breaking away by the Acclaimed.
But did you get that vibe from last night too, though?
A little bit. Like they're doing the family therapy next week, and we'll see how that goes. I mean, it's obviously going to lead to an Acclaimed and Ass Boys match, and I imagine the Acclaimed will win that. They did the thing where Billy was with them, and then his sons turned on him, and so it was the Acclaimed. Was that all just a ruse? I just keep Billy Gunn with the Acclaimed. It's an overact. It's great. Don't fuck with that.
Also, just real quick, I forgot to mention, because they mentioned it on commentary, and I need to bring it up. The Young Bucks best of 7 being a part of that. Yeah. That was also part of like the story here, is they're really beat up. So Top Flight beat up a Young Bucks team that was beat up. So also that is a layer to this too, that they weren't like 100%, of course, going into the match. So
I imagine they'll do a rematch at some point. My biggest thing, and I definitely think they're setting up a trios match, because Top Flight won the trios Christmas Battle Royal thing. And then we did have Top Flight against Blackpool Combat Club on Rampage the other week. So they got plans for Top Flight. They've had plans for Darius while Dante was out. I think I flipped that. Sorry.
Yeah, I know what you meant though.
But yeah, so they've had plans there, and they continue to have plans. And that's the biggest thing, is like, great win, big win. Obviously, they're going to do the trios match. I don't think they're going to take the titles off the Elite. I think they will. I think the Elite will keep the titles off of us. Then it is about like following up out of that, because they did a good job with Action Andretti. He beat Jericho. They're doing the program now. Kind of same thing with Ricky Starks. Like if they lose to the Young Bucks or the Elite in the trios, like where do they go from there with the trios? The trios division, it's still new. I'm not saying it's like dead or anything, not by a long shot. It's still new. We got to see a little bit more development just overall in that division. And they're doing good stuff. The best of 7 was good. That allowed things to kind of settle, get back on track with the Elite getting the titles. House of Black and Eddie Kingston stuff. I'm not the biggest House of Black fans as far as just their act. Wrestlers, fantastic. The gimmick stuff doesn't really work for me. Eddie Kingston rules. Him being part of that, little weird to me. He should just go in there and punch all these guys in the face. But they got to just develop more like kind of just story stuff with the trios. And I think they're on the road to doing that. And it starts, after this best of 7, and now with Top Flight beating the Young Bucks and doing more with the trios. So I hope that it's sustained. And like, if it's not like, oh, they lose to the Elite, now why aren't they main eventing every single show? Like, oh, you're burying them. Like, they're young. Let things simmer a little bit. As long as they continue to have a consistent presence, that's what matters. Just don't have them lose to the Elite and then we they're off television. That's where guys, that's an actual like burial and no plans, and where guys can get lost in the shuffle. If they lose, but then they're still on television having good matches and they're still like factored in somehow, things are good. It's not that big of a deal. But a really good match between Young Bucks and Top Flight last night. My AEW Spotlight, Jensen, is not the Bryan Danielson versus Bandito match, which was fucking fantastic because Bryan Danielson, imagine thinking that guy ain't the fucking GOAT, but MJF's promo afterwards, where he took a serious tone and he said, you know, you've only dealt with masked Max. Never seen this man wear a mask. Well, I guess we have when he came out as the devil. Yeah. You know, I guess was that masked Max the devil? Regardless, he said, you've only dealt with him. The further we go down, the mask comes off, and even a dragon is no match for the monster behind the mask. And then in the next segment, he is trying to pay off Brian Cage to break Bryan Danielson's arm next week. There's been a lot of discourse around MJF stemming from last week's promo that he did the low-hanging fruit stuff, buried celebrities, and just general heel heat kind of stuff. And then this week he tried to take a more serious tone and talk about the man behind the mask and things like that. Where are you at after last night's promo with MJF?
I mean, I love MJF. I'm good with all of this, especially if they go through with like, you know, even though it's obvious and we just saw him literally pay off Cage to injure Danielson, I think they should just do that. I think Cage should injure Danielson and MJF should pay him for it. Like just straight up, just do exactly what you said you were going to do.
Why did he give him the envelope before the job was done?
Right.
Is it a half weird. Now, half when the job is done type of deal? This is bad business by MJF.
That's how it feels. But you know, because I think that is interesting if Danielson is injured going into the match, especially if it's his arm, because MJF likes to lock in that salt of the earth. And I think he's going to want to try to make Danielson tap as like an extra ego boost. I mean, this is great stuff. I mean, and I really like the promo. I can't say enough good things about MJF. The whole devil and wearing the mask and all that stuff. It was funny because when he's talking about the mask over and over again, unfortunately, part of me is like going back to the 90s thinking like the mask with Jim Carrey. It was like he keeps talking about the mask. And I'm like, I don't want to think about this. Like I want to think about like MJF being a psychopath. But no, he's the man. And then that Danielson and Bandito match, like you said, that was fantastic. This Bandito's nobody. I was talking about this with my friend who was over watching the show last night. He was like, nobody. What's the best? How did he put it? He's like nobody deals with dead weight, not dead weight in the way that you think I'm saying it. Better than Bandito. The way that I mean is like people sandbag him, but like on purpose. You can tell he's telling people like, hey, don't hold yourself up. Like I'm going to actually lift you, you know? And so it just makes Bandito's moves look so much more impressive because half the time it doesn't look like the other wrestlers cooperating. And he's just like actually having to balance and like manipulate people's weight, you know, midair and stuff. And Danielson is, he's probably the best in-ring worker in the world right now. This was incredible. Yeah, this is great.
The MJF mask promo. So I didn't care for the promo last week. Thought it went on too long. I don't know why Danielson didn't come out earlier. I thought it should. I didn't need the celebrity burial stuff. Just once Takeshita was like, kiss my ass, I think that should have been kind of the end of it. Danielson should have come out. Then they had their match. I thought that's where it should have ended. I find MJF very hit and miss for the most part. And last night, it did. SB3 mentioned in the chat. He said, I hear y'all hating. Now let me give you these bars with that promo. I'm interested of where they go. Is this like a facade with MJF? Like, is he just saying like, I have this deeper, darker side in me, and he is trying to almost psych himself into this position because he knows he's about to face Bryan Danielson in an hour-long match? Is he trying to? It's always head games with MJF, right? And is he trying to get into Danielson's head of like, oh, you've just been dealing with like jokey me and stuff. Get ready. I'm really going to unleash something that you don't want to see. And then Danielson's like, oh man, like what does he have in store for me type of thing. So I like when MJF is able, and I said this during the lead up to the Moxley match of when he had the different side of him showing like, I don't want to be this person type of thing. Like once you introduce this layer, then it gives you just more threads to play off of in the future. And they're kind of doing that now with I have this mask type of thing. I can get if people are like, where's this going type of thing, because I'm wondering where it's going. Cole says MJF is getting in his own head. And like, I think that might be like a thing too. Like, again, is MJF like trying to psych himself up? Like, does he know who he actually is? And I can get why it could be a little bit confusing with things of like, all right, just either stick with this or stick with that. He's trying to do a couple of different things. Some of the stuff works. I don't like the drawn out promos and stuff. I don't care if you're going to tell me I'm going to do this and you're going to turn on me and then you do it. That doesn't make it good to me. All right. Just because you say I'm going to cut these long promos and I'm going to bury all your favorites and then I'm going to take the cheap road and stuff, and then you actually do it, that doesn't mean I have to enjoy that. All right. If you actually give me a little bit of depth with this stuff, then I'm cool with it. And that's why I did like the mask promo. I actually thought like him going to Brian Cage and like, hey, here's this envelope, go ahead and hurt him. I thought that further solidified of like, he doesn't know who he is right now. He seems very, and I don't know if that's a good thing, a bad thing. Like on television, it at least it's more interesting than him just doing cheap heel stuff. But it doesn't feel like he knows who he is because he's trying to psych himself up. You don't want this type of match. But then he goes and pays off Brian Cage. It's like, go break his arm, please. Like, I need this out here. MJF just feels like he's wrestling and juggling a bunch of personalities right now. And I assume that's by design. And we will just see where it all sort of ends up. And hopefully it ends up somewhere. And it is not just like, let me show you I can do a bunch of different things just to do a bunch of different things. And because I said I was going to do this, you have to like this, because I don't think that's the case.
Well, yeah, I mean, and we've seen these layers for the MJF for a long time in AEW with various storylines with like between like Wardlow and like the CM Punk one being like the big one and stuff where like he really was explaining that he's afraid of himself in a lot of these situations. Like he's the anxious guy backstage before he goes out there. But he knows once his music hits, he has to be the bad guy. You know what I mean? And like, or otherwise he's just not going to be successful. However, he's positioned it and talked about it in the past. He seems very uncomfortable with himself in a lot of ways, but leans into it because that's what makes him the AEW World Champion. I mean, and, you know, just Danielson in general, real quick, a big thing that I think really needs to be pointed out about him, because like SP3 said in the chat, Tony Khan's best booking decision of 2023 is just let Danielson wrestle every week, which I agree with.
I ain't giving Tony Khan fucking credit for that booking decision. I credit Bryan Danielson for that booking decision.
Sure. Well, regardless, so the what I think is so cool about Danielson and AEW, and this is not a WWE versus AEW conversation, it's just how what's happened here. In the WWE, Danielson was always positioned as like the underdog who was good enough to be the world champion. Like you knew he could beat anybody, but he was always the underdog. That's how it was always presented in his matches and on television and his storylines. In AEW, it's like his old ROH, you know, like kind of persona where he's the guy that you know what I mean? Like he's the one with the confidence in the ring. He's the one kicking people's asses. He's the guy you're trying to take down Danielson. He's not trying to take down you. Like so it's one of those things where like, I just love that dynamic of how he's the same guy. He's the same guy we saw in the WWE for all those years. It's just the roles are flipped to where like he's the badass and everyone who wrestles him is trying to beat the great Bryan Danielson versus him being the one who's constantly trying to beat all these superstars because he's undersized or whatever. So yeah, I just love the dynamic of Danielson in AEW. Like it's so much more entertaining to me seeing him being in this kind of element than like the ultimate underdog type situation.
I mean, he's the best. He's the absolute
he's great.
best.
Incredible.
Greatest of all time, in my opinion. And at some point in the future, I will have a podcast with Bryan Danielson. I'm going to continue to manifest this. I've already laid out my plans for it. And Bryan Danielson and I will do a podcast together. The other spotlight, Jensen, is Motor City Machine Guns coming to GCW. This was your spotlight. We talked about the Briscoes being kind of an underrated, underappreciated tag team. Motor City Machine Guns right there with them because they never went to kind of a big stage, and now they will be on the GCW stage.
Yeah, and their match is going to be in March. I still don't think they've announced the opponents yet, but yeah, just really cool knowing that Motor City Machine Guns are going to be debuting in GCW. Just a new spot for them to do their thing. Different type of fan base, and just another way of solidifying them. As you mentioned, they're one of the best tag teams ever, and that's super impressive considering they haven't worked as a team in WWE or AEW before. But they're still at this level, and I think it's only going to add to their like it's another another badge of honor or whatever you want to call it. Like it's just another thing. It adds to their legacy that they're going to have this, whether it's a one match or a series of matches or whatever in GCW, and the GCW fans they're going to love that tag team. Like they're going to be so over. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there too. SP3 with a good shout out. It says pretty sure it'll be the East West Express, which is Nick Wayne and Jordan Oliver. That would be a great tag team match. I would love that. I mean, they got good tag teams there too. I mean, Los Mazizos, the Miedo Extremo, and Ciclope, the tag team champions. You've got Effie and Alley Catch as Bussy. You've got any combination of the SGC with like Manders, Mr. Manders. Well, yeah, one called Manders, Mance Warner, and Matthew Justice, and those guys. Any combination of them. So yeah, there's a lot of great tag teams that Murder City can tear it up with in GCW. So I'm looking forward to that. Can you pull up that super chat from Speed Punk real quick too? It says it was cool seeing Willie Mack from MLW versus Brian Cage on Rampage this week. Willie Mack is one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. I have been a long time supporter of Willie Mack. That dude got done dirty by the WWE years ago. I don't know if y'all know that story. I'll let y'all research that, but he if I remember correctly, he got signed by the WWE years back, and he was fired before he ever even got to report to the performance center. And it had to do with some sort of weird physical thing.
Oh yeah.
But then they also, and this sounds very strange, but then they also they hired Apollo Crews right after. And a lot of people speculated that they were they thought that they had hired Apollo Crews when they actually hired Willie Mack. And then they backtracked it and just took Apollo and not Willie. And I just, I don't know if that's exactly how it went down. I just remember that being kind of the conversation at the time. And this was years ago, so I might not remember it correctly. I apologize. But I do remember for sure Willie Mack was heading to WWE, and then all of a sudden he wasn't. And it was what? And then, he killed it in Lucha Underground, killed it in MLW. He's killed it everywhere. He's been Impact Wrestling everywhere. Willie Mack is the man. And he's been recently wrestling for GCW. He's been big in PWG for a long time out on the West Coast. So I hope Willie Mack gets signed by AEW, and I don't say that about everybody because I know AEW's roster is so stacked and there's already a lot of people there and people who can't get spots and stuff. But based on talent, charisma, being different, backing it up, Willie Mack should be in AEW, in my opinion. So it was cool to see.
Yeah, they had the match on Dark Elevation that was taped last week when they're at the Kia Forum. And it was a relatively short match, but people were really impressed by it. And again, they've worked together in Lucha Underground. So people were really impressed by it. And then they just decided, hey, we're going to run it back on Rampage this week. So that match will air tomorrow night on Rampage. Last one, our indie spotlight, Stephen Jensen. Nick Gage.
I'm going to give a big motherfucking shout out.
My indie spotlight is from Garden State Duality. It is Bobby Orlando against Kevin Blackwood. And I wanted to spotlight this because I wanted to spotlight Bobby Orlando.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't think we've talked about either Bobby Orlando or Kevin Blackwood on this show. Kevin Blackwood, he's very good, but I wanted to spotlight Bobby Orlando because I've seen him before. I imagine you've seen a lot more than I have. But this gimmick with the GOAT, Bobby Jr. and stuff, like his whole persona. I love this guy. This guy rules. I need more Bobby Orlando in my life. What are your thoughts on Bobby Orlando, Stephen Jensen?
I mean, I do see him, pretty often because he pops up on IWTV all the time. I talk about he's in the results often on the Weekender, as is Kevin Blackwood. Blackwood a bit more established, and he has like the long history with Danny Garcia and stuff.
Yeah.
Out of the Buffalo scene, but yeah, I mean, even just in the last few weeks, like Bobby Orlando wrestled Warhorse on Beyond, wrestled Kevin Blackwood, like you mentioned. He's in Wrestling Open often. I mean, like he's often on IWTV platforms, not just IWTV. I mean, he's, as most independent wrestlers are, they're kind of all over the place. I've seen him as a part of he wrestled Marcus Mathers on the Settlement series for GCW pretty recently. So like, no, it's funny because we haven't really talked about him or Blackwood on the show, but both guys are very talented. I think Blackwood just wrestled Dana Garcia on AEW, didn't he? On Dark or something. I think they just did they just do that? Let me pull up Blackwood real quick and see if I'm right about that. I want to say he just wrestled. Oh yeah, Dana Garcia just beat him on Dark Elevation. Yeah. So and I know there's eyes on Blackwood for sure. I mean, obviously, if he's done Dark Elevation recently, there obviously is. But yeah, I mean, that was a good match. That was the one where the finish, because I watched that one I reviewed that show for the Weekender. That was the match where he finished him. He hit him with the double stomp to the knee, right? Then put him in the Texas Cloverleaf. Yeah, and then he turned it into. By the way, I love this. And I'm glad he brought this match up because I never would have talked about this otherwise on the show. So my favorite submission hold of all time is the Texas Cloverleaf. Like when applied properly, I think it's the coolest looking. It looks devastating. It's easy to put on. It's super recognizable. A lot of great wrestlers have used it, mainly like Dean Malenko, right? But my favorite version of that move of all time is the lasso from El Paso, which people don't hardly ever talk about because it was a short used move by Eddie Guerrero, which is the way I can describe it is basically it's like a lion tamer Texas Cloverleaf, where you're doing the Cloverleaf, but like it's high angle and you've got like your knee in the back of their head. So it's like a more brutal version. And that's what Blackwood really used to beat Orlando. So I want to give that a shout out too. I'm going to say that Kevin Blackwood beat Bobby Orlando with the lasso from El Paso. And more people should be using that move. Like the Texas Cloverleaf looks badass, and part of it too is like there's probably not a lot of people that want to take it. Similar to the Lion Tamer, like there's no way of faking being in that move. Right. But yeah, shout out to Blackwood and Orlando. They had a good match, and I really like the finish with the double stomp to the knee and then the lasso from El Paso for the finish.
So this is on again Garden State Duality. It's free on YouTube. You can go to YouTube and you can watch this. And Bobby Orlando, his music, he's got great like custom music, just like pump party music. He's got his little goat Bobby Jr. with him, and the goat played a part of the match. The goat's in the middle of the ring, and they're trying to call the goat over to him. It looked like Blackwood was gonna take the goat with him, and Bobby Orlando was like, "No, that's my son. Like you can't do this." Oh man, hey Bobby Orlando, and I don't know if there's any influences here. Have you heard of the rapper Young Gravy? Is this up your alley?
Oh my gosh, I have. He's a white dude, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him only because he did like halftime at the Vikings game sometime.
Oh, really?
Season. That's the only time that's the only reason I know who he is. Yep.
Is
he like a meme rapper, or is he supposed to be serious?
I don't know. I've listened to some of his music. Like it's not like fully my style. But it's not like terrible. I can see Bobby Orlando being like really, really into that. Like fucking on your bitch, like woo. Sucking on my dick like woo.
Yeah.
Bobby Jr. goat like woo. House with a moat like woo. I'm just dropping bars on this show, everybody. Dabbing on them. There we go.
Oh man.
Dropping bars all over this show.
Oh.
Everybody watch Bobby Orlando and Kevin Blackwood. Jensen, speaking of much better rappers than me, you went to Battle Slam this past weekend.
I did. So on Sunday night, I I watched my Minnesota Vikings lose in the first round of the playoffs, so I want to talk about that. But right after that game, I compartmentalized the loss and drove straight to Battle Slam. The show was about an hour in when I got there, so unfortunately, I was a little late to the show. But I got there at intermission, so I got to see the second half. Excuse me, and I was told about the first half, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what I missed. Like Anthony Henry versus JDX, I'm sure was great. I heard Queen Aminata versus Ashley Dubois was great as well. And I'm such a big fan of both of those women, so I can't wait to watch that one when it drops.
Ashley's on Impact tonight.
Yeah, she is. She is. And she appeared on SmackDown not too long ago as like the ballerina. So like, and Ashley's Cody Rhodes trained, and I'm such a big fan of hers. I got to call one of her matches at CDW the other week. I'm very, very, very high on her. And Queen Aminata, by the way, like both of them are stars. Like keep a lookout for both of them. But then like for what I was able to actually watch live, the first match I get to see is Speedball Mike Bailey versus Myron Reed, which was just incredible. In my opinion, was the best match that Battle Slam has put on in their history so far. The only other one that I think is close is Baron Black versus Speedball. And of course, the common denominator there is they're both Speedball matches. That's how good that guy is. Just insanely incredible. The main event of the show was Baron Black versus Jonathan Gresham, the two best friends in real life. They run Terminus together. And that match was great as well. Baron Black winds up retaining the title, but by disqualification, and I'll let y'all watch why. I talk about it more on the weekend, or if you want to check that out on Fightful Select. I do have interviews up, by the way, with Baron Black and with Gerard Bonner. Gerard is the commentator for Battle Slam, and a guy I've got to do a little work with CDW as well. Really big in like the Southeast scene, all over the place. Great dude. And of course, Baron, was just really cool. And also, shout out Phil Lindsay. He was at Battle Slam. I had no idea he was going to be there. Oh. Yeah, it was so random. I was standing around after the show. I was just waiting on Baron to do an interview. And me and Phil like locked eyes, and I was like, it took a second. And I was like, that guy kind of looks like Phil Lindsay. And I kind of like kept, and I was like, that is Phil? And then like he was like, Jensen. I was like, yeah, man, like I'm at all these. And he was like, dude, I think he flew in the night before. And it was just for Battle Slam. Like he came in from Chicago just to watch Battle Slam, which was awesome. So it was really cool to see him there live. Just someone else from Fightful that I've only met him in person once before, and it was at Terminus here in Atlanta. And he was like, man, you must live around here. I remember we saw you at Terminus, and I was like, oh yeah, I live in Atlanta, so let me know when you're in town again. I had no idea you were gonna be here. So any of those guys, Will, Reg, Phil, any of those guys, when they're around Atlanta, because they were talking about maybe coming back sometime soon, like it'd be really cool to have like a Grapsody presence at those Battle Slam shows. The Battle Slam shows are really, really fun. They're different. It's a different setting, a different vibe to everything. They did a different building for this show as well, a new venue, which was it was smaller, a bit more intimate, but I think it worked really, really well. I think I might prefer it to the Oasis Center that they were running previously, as far as just like a small venue where it just the crowd, good energy, and just so it's a really good show, and I highly recommend people check it out when it's available. I don't think it's been announced when it's going to drop, but I think it's going to be on Fight Plus, like the last show was. So, and the whole catalog is on Fight TV. So, shout out to Battle Slam and Baron Black for just always being, and shout out to Hyena. So there's this girl Hyena who she's an independent wrestler. She's kind of just getting her feet wet. Hyena Hera, and she works the table at Battle Slam, and she's always so nice to me. I don't know if she'll ever hear this. I'll send her a direct message at some time. I always forget to, but she always works the table, and when she sees me, she always just waves me through. Like it's never, because sometimes when I go to shows and I'm like there for Fightful or whatever, sometimes it's kind of a hassle where I got to stand around and be like, hey, I'm Stephen with Fightful, and they're like, oh, there's no list. We got to like find the promoter and make sure like you're good to come in, or credentials or whatever. She just sees me and goes, oh yeah, I recognize you. Come on in. And I just really appreciate that. So thank you very much, Hyena. I very much appreciate that. And one day we'll probably be interviewing her right here on the Spotlight, because she is improving a lot in the matches I've seen recently. So yeah, shout out to Battle Slam. Check out the show when it drops. And yeah, I got to go clock in for work here in a second. So
check out the show when it drops on Fight. We'll let everybody know when that happens. Sign up to Fightful Select. Hear Jensen talk more about it on the Weekender, and hear Jensen talk to Baron and Gerard as well in the interviews that he did with them. So Jensen, appreciate you. Go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you at.
Yep, you can find me on Twitter at FightTalk_, FIGHTTALK_. You can use code FightTalk, all is one word, no spaces, on independentwrestling.tv or IWTV.live. Appreciate when y'all use that code. Please subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. Listen to the Weekender podcast. Also, as Jeremy just mentioned, listen to my audio interviews from Battle Slam with Baron Black and Gerard Bonner. And there's some like written stuff that's coming out through those as well that Jeremy's been putting together over on the website, Fightful.com. And yeah, I don't know if was there anything else. Of course, I hope y'all enjoyed this interview with Alec Price that you're about to hear. One of the best independent wrestlers in the world right now, a guy really on the come up that if you haven't heard about yet, he's going to be a massive name in wrestling in the very near future. He's already built a really big name for himself on the independents. The first few minutes of this episode, he grills me, but
I tweeted it like the first 11 minutes of this show of this interview is legitimately some of the best stuff we've ever recorded.
Yes, and by the end of it, we were bonding. So yes. It's a full circle type.
It's a good
interview.
arc. It's good.
It is. It really is. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, for people who have trickled in, me and Jeremy did get the news of, and Alec as well. We all got the news collectively of Jay Briscoe passing while we were doing this interview, while we were recording this. And I just don't want anyone to think that we were being insensitive or anything. It was news that came out of nowhere to us, and we were mid-interview, and we made sure to talk about Jay during the interview as well. But we had to kind of just put it in the back of our minds and just try to finish the interview the best that we could, because once again, we only have between my schedule, Jeremy's schedule, and then wrestler schedules, we have like 1 hour per week where we can all get together to make an interview happen for y'all on the show. And it was really important to us that Alec had given us his time. So like we wanted to make sure, even though it was a weird, crazy situation and we got the news as it was happening, we did finish the interview. And, I just want anyone to think that we were being insensitive or like that we didn't, we couldn't have predicted that to happen the way that it did. And trust me, the moment we got off that interview and I started trolling Twitter, that's when it really, really hit me. Because at that point, all I really had was Jeremy's word of like, hey, this happened. And I was like, what? And then we just kind of like moved on. And then after the interview, I got on Twitter, and that's when it really, really sunk in. So anyway, I got to go clock in for work. Good to see you, Jeremy. Good to see everyone in the chat. And hope y'all enjoy the interview with Alec.
All right, guys, we are going to head to our interview with Alec Price. Again, if you have not checked out his work, he's all over the independent scene right now, whether it's Fight TV, whether it's IWTV, he had an hour-long match against, we talk about this in the interview, he had an hour-long match on the East Coast, flew across the country, and then wrestled Titus Alexander on the West Coast. He's doing an insane schedule right now. We get into that. We get into kind of his goals, his plans for the collective and WrestleMania weekend in general, stuff he wants to do there. We talk about some of his favorite moments in wrestling. We talk about how we kind of grew up being a fan of like Impact in the X Division and things like that. We do our coolest thing in the room segment, which leads to a very fun discussion about Power Rangers. And as Jensen mentioned, and as I mentioned at the top of the show, I did learn of the passing of Jay Briscoe during this interview, and I was very like caught off guard and shook by it, and I lose my train of thought in the interview, and I felt I had to say something during the interview instead of just trying to go through and acting like nothing happened. So I guess I was the one who told them, and we did talk about Jay for a bit, as Alec has worked shows with Jay. So we talked about him for a bit, and then we tried to just go back to, just talking to Alec and learning more about him. And it was, as Jensen said, we have a limited amount of time, and we want to make sure we give the guest the opportunity to talk about the things that they are there for and everything. But we did want to talk about Jay as I had brought it up on air. So I'm going to throw this interview with Alec Price. I hope everybody enjoys it. Shout out to John Alba. John Alba helped set this up for us. If anybody watched the Fightful Overbooked New Year's stream, I kind of just threw it out there of like, I think Alec Price is in for a big 2023. And John Alba was like, do you guys want him on your show? I was like, yes, I would love that. And so Alba was the one who kind of coordinated this for us. So great guy, John Alba. Shout out to him. I appreciate him for coordinating this and getting it set up to where Alec would be on our show. All right, let's get into it. Alec Price on the Creator Spotlight.
Welcome to the Creator Spotlight, the interview portion of the Spotlight here on Fightful. I, as always, am Stephen Jensen with Jeremy Lambert. And today we have a special guest, a guy who's making a lot of waves on the independent wrestling scene, a champion across multiple promotions, the Prize, the Northeast Beast, Alec Price. Welcome to the show, Alec. How you doing, man?
What's good, G's? How you doing?
Doing great.
Oh yeah,
we appreciate you joining us. And like, you're showing off the gold already. You got the Interstate Championship right there.
And the sub one's over there, but that one's trash. So I don't want to show it off. You feel me?
Okay, so we're
here we go. We got beef.
Okay, I was
beef
waiting.
Immediately.
Okay, yeah. So I that's actually the reason I interned it the way that I did. So I see the title belt you got right there. You got the ESW title belt proudly presented. Okay.
Yeah.
I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia. I spent about 10 years prior to that in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
I am a day one supporter of Southern Underground Pro. So you are the SUP Bonestorm Champion. That was one of the first things I wanted to talk to you about because you absolutely destroyed that championship belt. And as a fan of that company, I couldn't believe what I was watching when you were doing that.
Why? It was a trash belt. It was a trash belt. Like the thing at the time, bro, I gotta be real. Like when I thought like the sub belt, right? I thought the tag championships were the sub belt.
Yeah,
because I only seen Pooh or Dom with it separately. So I thought, okay, that's the sub belt. So when like I heard I had the match, I was like, yo, I'm about to have this dope purple title with gold. It's about to be lit. It's about to be. And then they pulled up with that E-Lucha like FanDuel championship. Like what is that? And then like it wasn't even like I would have taken it if it was like brand new, right? Because like it's got tape on it. And it's tape holding it together. And it's like, what have you guys been doing to this championship? Like, what the hell? If you looked at the Limitless championship, it was pure gold. It was money. You know what I mean? Like the guy that made the AEW championship made the Limitless Wrestling World Championship.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear it. You feel me?
No, okay. So
Jensen, you just got shut down right there.
Hey, listen. This is why I ask these questions. That's actually a pretty legitimate, answer. I don't love the answer because I'm a big fan of SUP, and I support the product. You are our champion. I'm going to say our champion because they're one of my favorite promotions, on the independent scene, especially in the Southeast. Now, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about by chance, Alec is the Bonestorm champion. He has absolutely destroyed the physical title belt. And he was the main, we'll call you antagonist throughout the pretty much the entire last year when it comes to coming into the Southeast. And we had Southeast First, of course, that whole series. What was that experience like as to start off being, representing the Northeast in the Southeast, but being a Southeast champion along the way?
I felt like I needed to do that at that point. You know what I mean? Like the Southeast was making their claim, and they were trying to, extort the Northeast territory's heritage and our history. Like, if you look at us, we produce the best wrestlers in the world, hands down. Eddie Edwards, Biff Busick, Dango, who else? Kazarian, Damian Sandow, Sasha Banks, Kofi Kingston, Carmelo Hayes. The list goes on and on and on. We have that reputation of producing product and producing the best wrestlers in the world. Me, myself, I'm trying to get up there. It may take a little bit, but I'm trying to get up there. You know what I mean? Just like them. But they're just trying to use our name to rebuild their territory. And, like, it's no disrespect to SUP. I love SUP. I've always watched SUP, and I've always watched the product. I care about the product. But that's my problem. I care about the product. I want the product to be better, but when I go there as a Northeast person representing a Southeast company, and then I look at all my challenges in the companies, I don't look at anything that really scares me. There's nothing that makes me go, ooh, that person right there. Ooh, that person right there. All I see is local yokels that ain't on my level, and it's no disrespect to anybody in the territory, but it is. Because I'm the Northeast Beast. I'm the best. I'm the Buster Killer. It's kind of ironic that Jaden Newman took all that time to get that belt, and I took it in his first title defense. AC wanted to run his mouth, you know what I mean? AC got lucky because Becca entered, like Becca cost me the championship, and now they still won't give me another shot. I'm calling out at WTV right now. Fightful, you got the exclusive. What are you doing? Where is my IWTV championship shot? This is some bullshit. I wasn't even in the scramble or the six-way or whatever match that freaking gauntlet was. Why wasn't I the first person in there? Why are they afraid to put the belt on me? I think they're like, I don't know what it is. I really don't know what I have to do. You feel me? Because I've already proven that IWTV wouldn't be anything without Alec Price. I've been working 4 times a week. I've been wrestling 5 times a week. Last week, 2 weeks ago, I wrestled 10 matches. A week after that, I had a 60-minute Ironman match, and then flew to California to have, you know what I mean, to do West Coast Pro, and then flew back to do NEW, and then did the same thing the next week, and I got the same thing this week. The only reason why they've been surviving in the pandemic right now is because of me, but they're afraid to put that belt on me. SUP gave me the opportunity, and I think that's what shook them. It's because they realize once I get that belt, it's mine, and they're never going to be able to get it back. So if I'm signed, that's going with me in my suitcase up to the big leagues. You feel me?
Yeah, I mean, I can't even dispute I can't dispute anything you're saying. I mean, you
it's
are.
Facts.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is very
Jensen,
legitimate.
he destroyed your entire territory.
Well,
no,
he
but I'm being real.
Listen. I like what I'm hearing because I think it's coming from a place of honesty, and Alec can back it up. I mean, the guy's phenomenal in the ring. He's phenomenal on the mic.
149 matches recorded by Cage Match, and that's not even the full statistic because they're missing out about the 10 matches. So I really wrestled 159 matches last year. I'm still up right now. I think I'm up like 14 or 17 matches as of the new year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I believe it, and yeah, I mean, I can't say I didn't expect that type of answer, but like you kind of blew it out of the water as far as like what I was expecting. And also just one other question piggybacking off that, and I'll let Jeremy go because I know he's got plenty of questions as well. But on the Southeast topic, outside of maybe the fan base or feeling that you were maybe wrestling people, maybe that you were kind of wasting your time with maybe a little bit. Did you enjoy, your experience in like in the Basement East in Nashville, like the venue itself or like the city? Did you enjoy the Southeast at all, or is it mainly just like you kind of feel like you're kind of wasting your time with what you're kind of having to do here in the Southeast? We're kind of riding the coattails of the Northeast, according to you.
Nah, the thing is, I love the Southeast. I love Tennessee. I love going down there. It's beautiful. They got good food. You know what I mean? Pretty looking things. So it's like I can't hate on the Southeast. It wasn't like I felt like I was wasting my time down there. I just felt like me being down there wasn't gonna help anybody because no one really gave a fuck. You know what I mean? I don't mean to swear, but like no one really.
You can say whatever you want. No, it's fine.
You know what I mean? But like, no, it just seemed like I was the invader to everyone, but I was really the savior. Because the Southeast had more light on it because of Uncharted Territory, which is a northern product.
True.
When I was on Uncharted Territory, it had more views. What are you talking? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I love the Southeast, but at the same exact time, step your game up. If you're gonna come out the Kings, you got to come correct. Because we hitting home runs over here. We throwing touchdown Hail Mary passes. You feel me?
If SUP provided you a better title belt, like a physical championship belt that you felt was more worthy, would you have a little bit different feelings, or does it at this point does it not matter what title belt they give you? Because I know you said the previous one you didn't like aesthetically, and that was a part of the reason why you destroyed it.
Yeah, it was aesthetically, and it was just like that was the old SUP. I represent the new SUP. When I took that belt, I took over the company because there's a different pedigree. You want to step up to me, you got to step up to me. Either go in the tag division or like suffer. because there's no one really stepping up. And I've beaten everyone that has stepped up for the Southern Championship. I even defended in the Northeast too.
Yep.
Then they were saying I wasn't coming down South. I came down South and defended it. And what happened? I kept it every time.
Yep. Defended it over Guarini in the Basement East. That's a huge win. Yeah.
That's a huge win
give it
because
to you, for
Guarini
sure.
was the longest reigning Southern Underground champion.
Yep.
I think I'm going up there. I think I may be longest reigning soon. I don't even know. You know what I mean?
I think Brett Eisen held it longer, but I know what you mean. I get the point. I get the point.
I'll check the statistics.
Yeah.
I
understand the point. I absolutely understand. Jeremy, sorry. Go ahead, man. I need to get all the Southeast stuff because you represent my I call SUP my company because I'm so linked to it. Going to shows,
I represent it with pride, but there's also they gotta earn that respect. You know what I mean? Like
sure,
they just got to.
It's fair. Go ahead, Jeremy.
I love this. This is fantastic because Jensen, I know how hardcore you are with that scene. So Alec coming in here and just he's stomping that shit flaccid right now. He's destroying it. Yeah.
Listen, I think Alec's making some really good points. I do. I can defend my guys as well, but I feel like this isn't the kind of platform where I need to do that. I want Alex. It's hard to say because your name is Alec, but I'm trying to say Alex is point of
view. He's gonna come kick you in the head, Jensen. Get his name right.
Well, I have it right. It's the plural of Alec. The plural of Alec is Alex, I think. So sorry.
I think so.
I think so. I don't know. But anyway, Jeremy,
people just usually call me by my last name, and it's I don't know. It's just always been a thing for some reason. I don't know if it's an Easty thing or just they look and be like, "Yo, Price," but it's good.
There you go. Jeremy, ask a question, man. I feel like I'm taking up all the time.
I do want to ask you about your weekend to start this year, and you mentioned it, and Cage Match might not have recorded everything, but they did record that. So on Thursday night, you do an Ironman match with Channing Thomas, and then you fly across the country to face Titus Alexander, and then you fly pretty much back across the country to do GCW. And you hear about the older generation talk about territory days, and I'm driving from this territory to this territory. You're getting on a plane and going cross country and doing these matches, which is very old school territory stuff. What goes into taking these bookings and being I can do this, I can make this, and it's all going to be good, and I'm going to steal the show every single time?
Well, the thing about me is when I step in that ring, I don't like to produce stuff that I know I can't produce. You know what I mean? I know that I can produce top quality wrestling, and I know that I can still get better with my product, but I also know that I can have bangers. And why do I want to go in there if I can't have a banger? To me, that's just there's no reason for me to be in the ring if I can't have a banger. I know what I can do. So to lesser myself, it's just that's not an Alec Price match. It's not Alec Price. You know what I mean? I'm at 10 every day. And you know what I mean? I grew up old school. Getting into the business, my trainers broke me in old school. You know what I mean? Bo Douglas and Benny Jukes at the Bell Time Club. Kowalski trained. I'm lineage. I got that bloodline. So when I was brought up, first year and a half of my career, I went on the road with big time wrestling up and down the East Coast. And not really anybody knew me in my territory because I did this. But the only time that I would really get that chance, would get in the ring before the shows. I would get there early, help out with everything, knowing I'm not going to get a spot on the show, knowing I'm not going to get paid. But my trainer told me this is either going to make you love wrestling or make you want to quit after this trip, because this is wrestling. At the end of the day, I feel it's just something you have to do. I heard all my people, when they started blowing up, Masha and all them, yo, bro, I'm tired. I just went from freaking Jersey to LA, then to Portland, then to Maine. And I'm damn, really? You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I'm doing 5 times in a weekend where I'm flying to Bama and then coming back up and then flying to Chicago, or flying to Indiana and then driving to Chicago the same day to wrestle for GCW. You know what I mean? It's just, it comes with the territory. If you really want to be one of the top people and you want to produce your shit, you gotta work. You know what I mean? You gotta put in that grind. You gotta put in that hustle. You know, it's just it comes with the territory.
Is there added pressure, or I guess kind of what your feelings? How do you feel kind of mentally? I guess because you're gaining a big reputation right now. When people know that Alec Price is on the show, they're expecting really really good matches. And how's that been? Just knowing your name's been a lot lot more out there lately, and there's really high expectations when people come to watch you.
I'm not gonna lie. I just I like it. I like the pressure. I perform better under pressure. I don't get comfortable, so it keeps me on my toes. You know what I mean? Because when I get cocky, I lose my sight and I lose my mind. This is all I wanted from wrestling. Like, I want to be signed. You know what I mean? But I'm glad that I'm getting the recognition for a kid that wasn't supposed to make it. And anybody in the territory, I wasn't supposed to do any of this. And I've changed the whole territory and the whole game. I mean, it still gets me. Like, I have anxiety attacks before every matches, but like, I think that's just because I care. If you don't really care about something, you know what I mean? Like, I really give a fuck about this. Like, if you look at Jordan Oliver, my boy Jordan Oliver, you know what I mean? He does the same thing. You know what I mean? He'll have a quick anxiety attack and then go out there and wrestle. But like, that's just because we care so much about our product and about what we're producing and like how the fans see us and everything. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many variables that go into wrestling that you either just got to be able to like keep calm and cool under pressure or crack and get the hell out.
How much did the pandemic like kind of shape you as a wrestler? Because Limitless was one of the few that was running during that time. You were very active for Limitless, and it's kind of like a home promotion. I know you got wrestling this weekend, Desmond Cole, Limitless, hard to handle. But how much did that like kind of shape you as a wrestler?
It's wild because like the pandemic was like something where like I didn't think I was ever going to be wrestling again. And then when Limitless came up with the idea, it was like, holy crap, I could be able to, you know what I mean? Like, I could finally be able to wrestle, but I don't know, like, it helped me a lot because I figured out really, like, who I was as a wrestler and who Alec Price or Alec Parnell was. You know what I mean? Like, during that pandemic, I grew a lot as a man and as a performer. Where I was able to face like Ace Romero and have matches where like I sat there in the middle of the ring and was like, I get it. You know what I mean? Or like be able to like understand that there's no crowd right now, so there's cameras. All right, where are the cameras? Like, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be a top star. I'm just saying that it would have took a little bit longer than it did. Because like I was putting on and I found myself during the Limitless road tapings. And then when wrestling came back and people were bringing people in, I started to make my moves again. Like, especially like in New Jersey, like that's what helped too, was because everyone seen me on the pandemic and on IWTV. And then I started getting bookings in like New Jersey where I haven't been yet. And then all of a sudden I got booked on JCW and then GCW. So like, yeah, I feel like I would be like, not where I'm at now, but a little bit under. You know what I mean? Like still fighting to get up or still fighting to start getting my name out there.
How's the experience been like in both GCW and JCW? Because in GCW, I know you've been getting your feet wet and having some bangers there, but like JCW, it looks like they're already like they recognize and like it looks like you're getting some stuff really cooking with JCW right now, coming off of the Battle Bowl win and everything.
Yeah, hold up. Let me get my Battle Bowl. Where's my Battle Bowl right here? Hold up. Let me just put that out. Let me get that looking nice. Hold up. Let me get that.
Yeah.
Oh, camera.
A little bit. There we go. There you go.
Banger. But like, I love working for JCW and GCW. You know what I mean? Like, if they're the top dogs right now, not throwing shade on everybody else. I love all the companies I work for, especially my homes like Beyond and Limitless. But right now they're producing product up there like how PWG did back in the day. PWG. But PWG back in the day. So like I'm just grateful to be on, be on the road with them and get to work the shows and see all of my friends on the road and get to have banger matches. It's fire. JCW was lit. Orange Crush is the man. He kind of really like, at first was like, dude, I want to book you on my shows, and kept booking me on JCW. And all of a sudden it was like, all right, now I'm on G. You know what I mean? And then then WrestleMania weekend happened. Then I was like, all right, now I'm moving. And then I got on AC, and then I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm going. And then it was like, then I'm traveling. I'm like, okay, let's go. You know what I mean? Like that's how it happens. And it's been a great experience.
GCW just announce their dates for the collective. You mentioned WrestleMania kind of weekend. They just announced all the dates for the collective. Is there any show, any opponent? That's where a lot of dream matches, a lot of big matches happen. Do you have your eye on like, I'm going to make something happen on this show against this opponent?
And piggyback question, do you have an amount of matches you'd like to work during the collective, like a number of matches you want to work?
I'm down to work as many matches as I possibly can at the collective. I'm gonna be there all 3 days, so why not? You know what I mean? But I don't know, like the thing with like dream matches and stuff. I have dream matches, but like I have so many favorite wrestlers where it's like I just want to wrestle everybody. I kind of just like as long as I get the chance to get my feet wet with everybody and kind of learn the flavors of ice cream and get better as a performer. That's all I really want. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I faced Alex Shelley. That was my dream match. I faced Eddie Edwards. Maybe I faced at Mike Bailey. And, like, that wasn't even one that was at first my dream match until I realized who Mike Bailey was and was like, yo, this dude's the man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I faced Jordo. I faced Tankman. Me and Akira squared off. I faced Chris Bay. Who else could I face?
I mean, you faced everybody, man.
Bring the world. I'm down. Let's go. Bring the world. Everybody. I want every show. I'm calling on every show now early. Book me so I can face your world. Book me against your champions. I'll take your title. It'll be lit. We'll do a little partnership. You know what I mean? And so you know what I mean? Give me everybody. I want everybody.
Who are some of your favorites, like, as like a fan, kind of like growing up? I'm assuming you're a wrestling fan growing up. I don't know that for sure, but
yeah,
if you can confirm that you were, and then kind of you mentioned some like your favorites that you've been able to wrestle or that you'd like to wrestle, nowadays. But who are some favorites that as a kid, as a fan?
AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio, Evan Bourne, Jeff Hardy, William Regal, Jake the Snake, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and who else? Yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, I like Christian too when he was in because I didn't know Christian was in WWE at that point. I wasn't watching wrestling, like, you know what I mean? And then I watched TNA and I was like, yo, who's this dog? Christian Cage. And then I seen him going to the E and then I was like, yo, this is my dog, bro, because the Kill Switch was fire back in the day. So yeah, that's my favorites back in the day.
That's interesting. So were you familiar, just so I'm clear, you were familiar with like TNA before you got into WWE?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Well,
you don't hear that very often.
I knew WWE from like my nana, but like I was more interested in TNA than WWE. Where like I watched WWE once in a blue moon. I'm like, this is dope. And then I found TNA and I was like, I'm on this. You know what I mean? Because it was just different. It's like when like Lucha Underground came out and I started watching Lucha Underground. I'm like, yo, this is fire. You know what I mean? Because it was just a whole different like flavor to it. So, but I was a big TNA person. Like X Division, like I'm an X Division baby. I was watching more TNA than I was watching WWE back in the day.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, I that OG X Division, Amazing Red is like who really caught my eye, got me like into independent wrestling. He's one of the guys I really credit. And like, RIP Don West, we've been talking about him a lot lately. One of my favorite, commentators in the history of wrestling and one of the best salesmen ever on like late night, infomercials and stuff. So that's cool to know. We don't talk to that many people that were like TNA fans over WWE fans, like, before they really, that's interesting to me. I really like hearing that. And I'm with you too. Cause like the in-ring product those days, TNA, I think
was just killing it. It was indie wrestling on TV. And then they had the 6-sided ring. And it was like, that ring was so unique. It's like, it made me want to wrestle in that ring. Cause I was like, I like the square ring, but that ring looks like you could do so many cool stuff off of it. Like low key hitting the key crusher off the top. Or Samoa Joe just missing a dot. Like, it was so cool, and there was so many factors that, like, you just looked at it like, wow, how are these guys doing this? Even, like, the old TNA championships, like the old tag team championships, Beer Money back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Lit. You feel me? Motor City Machine Guns, the Wolves. Even when the Hardy Boys came back, freaking Robbie E. and Jesse Rogers, when they were I forgot what their names was. They were with
the Bromance.
BJZ. Yeah, the
Oh,
bromance.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there was so many good tag teams.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I love hearing that.
Even the knockouts, bro. The knockouts were fire too.
People don't credit them enough. They were like kind of the original like
dude, Gail Kim was one of my favorites out of any of them.
The Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong matches, like that I think put women's wrestling on like a new level with like the fan perspective.
Yo, it was fire, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it was just different because you looked at it like, wow, bro, these are like, they actually having dope matches. Like, they're not just being used as like a symbol. You know what I mean? Like, they're actually letting them go out there and do the stuff, the same things that they're letting the guys do, not because they're like, oh, we're just going to have like diva matches. No, let's have wrestling matches. You know what I mean? It's fire. It's like what women's wrestling is really, you know what I mean? Like what women's wrestling really is. That's what it is. Like, it's workers going at it. It's the same thing as like wrestling is wrestling. It doesn't matter what you are, who you are. At the end of the day, it's wrestling.
You faced Alex Shelley. Like, what did that match mean to you as a TNA fan and watching him growing up?
It was wild, bro. Because you don't realize how good he is. And like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm blowing up, but I'm right here. Alex Shelley's right here. You feel me? So like, I like when I'm able to face somebody that's better with me and I can just sit under the learning tree. And just like, you know, he's a cool dude. I love Alex Shelley. He popped through. I had Attack on Titan sweatpants on. He was like, yo, you got Attack on Titan? We started chatting up about it and like the whole story and everything. Like, he's a good dude. We had a banger match. Like, I almost cried out. Like, it was lit. It was like with Eddie Edwards' match. It just meant something because I felt like it was full circle. Here I was a kid thinking I would never face these guys, and when I grow older, I never think I was going to be a wrestler or something like that. And then all of a sudden, I'm wrestling these guys. You know what I mean? Like, I'm facing the people that I watched and I cared about, and I freaking took all their moves and did it on my bed with my brother or with the sock monkey because I was a reckless little kid that had ADHD. You know what I mean? Like, they said don't do it at home. I was doing it at home. I didn't care about the warnings. Don't tell me what to do. It was like Jackass. Don't tell me what to do. Like, that's the number one thing. You tell somebody not to do something, they're going to do something. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I don't mean to drag this to a halt. Jay Briscoe just passed away.
Wait, what?
What?
Yes.
Like just now?
Yeah. Tony Khan just tweeted it.
Wow. R.I.P. bro. Jay Briscoe was the man, dog.
So I apologize for bringing.
No. Thanks for letting us.
I wish them well.
That's
horrible.
Oh my goodness! I'm reading Tony Khan's tweet right now. Wow, that's did horrible. Not expect that. Any Jay Briscoe memories that you want to throw out there? I mean, one of the best tag teams of all time, in my opinion. Him and Mark.
Oh my God, bro! They were just like. They were them boys. You know what I mean? I remember at a show, he was just the nicest dude. I never met him in my life. And he would just come up and be like, hey, boy, how you doing? You know what I mean? Like, they were both nice people. Like, genuine, like, real people. Like, that's what I can say. Like, I'm not going to say I hung out with them like that. I never did. Like, I seen them at shows, but they were genuinely really good, like, good people and real people. Like, that's how I took off, like, they're good people. I like Jay Briscoe. He's the man. Especially him. All the stuff they did at GCW was fire.
Yes.
Like, they didn't care. Or like Main Event, bro. Like their match with Main Event at Hog was amazing. Was freaking fantastic. Like, it was wild. It was dope. So like, R.I.P. Like that. Like, R.I.P. and all condolences to his family.
They're always gonna be, to me anyway, like the most underrated tag team of all time because they never went to a big promotion, but like consistency, they've been doing this for like 2 decades. Like consistency, night in, night out, like you're not going to find a better tag team than the Briscoes.
Yeah, I don't know if they're like underrated. I just feel like they're in a category of their own.
That's very fair.
That's fair for sure.
Because you got 2 stars, like usually in a tag team you have 1 star. And you know what I mean? Some people joke around and say one Jannetty. You know what I mean? And it's not like I'm like, oh, disrespect to Mari Jannetty. Mari Jannetty's the dog. You know what I mean? But that's just how some people put it. So you have one really good person and then somebody that they put with them because they look alike and they, they can, that person can help the other person. But like they were 2 stars. It was like the Wu-Tang Clan. People looked at the Wu-Tang Clan like, yo, you got 9 dudes and they're all stars. Now you got 2 dudes in a tag team that are 100% good workers, can work any singles match they want. But they're brothers and they love wrestling together and they have a crazy tag team that's so unorthodox that it just works so good. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, yeah. Apologies, just trying to process this and get.
No, I don't think you have to apologize, bro. You didn't do anything wrong.
No, absolutely. Well, I mean, kind of just back to Alec. Some other questions that I have. Unless Jeremy, did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
No.
Just obviously, that threw us off. That we didn't expect that to be happening.
Yeah, that's horrible.
But the surprise kick. I'm curious. Well, why did you choose that move? I think it looks very impressive. I've seen Miko Satomura hit a version of it for a long time, and I think yours looks more impressive than others that I see do that move. So why that move, and kind of how do you perfect it?
So one day when I was like just starting to train, my aunt, she works for the commuter rail, and her train would go right through Wakefield Station, which was like 10 minutes from bell time. So I'd always get there like a couple hours early. So the minute they open up the doors, like an hour or 2 before class, I would be in the ring, messing around and doing all the extra stuff. And my one of the trainees, my boy, was like, "Hey, bro, you should do this kick. I seen it in Tekken. It's in the video game. It's you step off the knee, kick him in the back of the head." And I was like, "What?" So I tried it, and at first, like, I landed like on my feet after kicking the person, and it was dope, but it just looked a little awkward. You know what I mean? Or it didn't really look so effective. And then one day, like, I was like, all right, I'm going to use this as my finish. But then when I tried to give it to other people, people weren't like taking it well. They wasn't giving me a good base, or like people would put their head down when I told them not to. And I ended up kneeing somebody in the face once. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to do it. And then Limitless happened. And like, I was like, I want to do something. Like, I got to pull out my dope moves that I don't hit on anybody, because I didn't trust people at that point to take them, because they were just like, I'm taller than a lot of people. So I need like bigger guys to, like, you know what I mean? Like to do like the tilt-a-world headlock driver or stuff like that. And I remember like I freaking hit it on my boy in class, and instead of like hitting the kick and like landing it on my feet, I just fell to the side. And my trainer Bo was like, "Do that again. That was fire." I'm like, "All right." And I did it again. He goes, "Bro, that looked great. Like, it looks like you can do that." I'm like, "All right, cool." And then I did it on Limitless, and I popped it out, and people were like, "Holy crap, what is this?" You know what I mean? So that's just that's like the little story of getting it. Like, at first I was trying to figure out my finish, and I couldn't really figure it out. And then I was going to use the blockbuster, but then I cracked the surprise, and it looked so dope. I'm like, I got to do this. Like, who else is doing this?
I think it looks great, and it is unique. And also, speaking of unique, I really enjoyed your match recently for the West Coast Pro Championship against Titus Alexander. Another guy we've had on the show before, a great guy, another young guy in his early 20s, just killing it out on the West Coast. And I thought that was really creative finish for that match, where he counted a surprise kick right into the sweet time driver, like midair. So I thought that was really well done. I know you took the L in that one, but that was a great match, and you guys are both like the future of wrestling. So.
Oh, I appreciate it. Sometimes you got to take an L in a match, but I appreciate that. That's really all I care about, is if it was a fire match or not. Sometimes you take an L in life, but all you got to do is kick out and keep going. You feel me?
Yeah, the match with Titus, that was actually our indie spotlight last week. We were both talking about it and wanted to put it over because, again, I think you've already started 2023 off very hot, and then I think it's only going to get better from here. And Titus is a guy that I think everybody should be keeping their eye on as well.
Titus is nasty. Nasty. He's fire.
All right, I'm gonna close out with this, and you've already shown off a lot of cool things in your room. You've shown off the title belt, you've shown off the championship ring, but what is the coolest thing in your room?
All right.
We'll wait for you. Go get it.
This is probably the coolest thing in my room. It's the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Legacy Megazord from the movie.
So we were talking off air about this stuff.
Hold up.
So Jensen, I didn't know if he was gonna go after Power Ranger stuff, but we were talking off air about Power Rangers.
Bro,
Go.
I got
Let's
the
go.
Lightning Edition.
Dude, let's go, dude. Yes, I love it. Did you see they just announced the big movies coming out on Netflix?
Yup.
Yeah.
Dog. This I love this because like I always watch the movie, you know what I mean? And I liked like it was a different kind of style for Zords that they had. Especially with the Frog Zord. Like I never seen a Frog Zord like that, especially become the whole legs and like it was just different. So I always liked it and I seen it and I always wanted it. And then all of a sudden like I was able to find it and like just been in my room chilling, you feel me? Like, and I'm just like, my niece will come over and be like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Don't touch that. Don't. I love you, Yaya. I'll give you one of my toys and you can play with that and that's yours. Do not touch that." You feel me? But yeah, this is because I just never thought I would have this and now I got it. Like, it's fire.
Dude,
And I got the other one too. I got the Lightning Edition. I want to get the what is it called? The other Zord. The other, the Dragon Zord, but that's kind of like muddy. I want to get the white. I definitely want to get the White Falcon Zord, and then the next will be like the Thunder Zords because I want to just complete the whole first edition of it, and then I'll stop buying Megazords after that.
Dude, I absolutely respect. I see. We might not agree on some of the things you said about the Southeast at the beginning of this show, but one thing that we can definitely agree on is, you know, our Power Rangers. You know, if you grew up on Power Rangers, like you always gonna have a special place in your heart for fans of Power Rangers. And who's your favorite Power Ranger of all time, if you don't mind me asking?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm not gonna lie, I always like the Time Force Quantum Ranger.
Okay. Do you have an original favorite, like from like the Mighty Morphin days?
From the Mighty Morphin days? All right. I just like the Time Force Ranger because the aesthetic and the Zord. The Zord was fire.
Oh, okay.
From the original Mighty Morphin days, it had to be the Red Ranger. I was always a Red Ranger fan. The original one. You know what I mean? Before
Austin, Shane, John, Jason.
Yeah, before they made him second in command. And I was just like, why did you do that to the Red Ranger? You propped us up forever being like, this is the... And then all of a sudden, Tommy came in, and I love Tommy. Tommy's the man. You know what I mean? I always loved the Dragon Zord. That's the best looking costume that you had at that point. But Jesus, dog, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, dog, they just yo, sit right here. Let this man take over the franchise. I'm sorry we popped you up, but like, this is how it goes. This is show business, kid. You know what I mean? Like, it was messed up how they did him like that.
Well, to be fair, I'm pretty sure that the actor Austin St. John who played Jason, I think he felt the same way because there was like a long beef between himself and Jason David Frank, and I think it was a lot had to do with that. Exactly what you're talking about.
Little homie them. Like, bro, you were the evil ranger. How are you leading us? How are you leading our team right now? Like, we just fought you like a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, you're working for Rita like yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, and now you're leading our team.
Yeah.
It's because you got your own Megazord? That's not fair. You know what I mean?
Man,
you know what I was always a fan of too? That I will actually get one of these Megazords one day. The Lost Galaxy.
Okay. So you're really where I mean you're in deep. Like how many like are you still currently follow like what they're doing now, or is there like a cutoff point where like your fandom kind of drops off for Power Rangers?
Yeah, like I think like the last real one I paid attention to, like fully invested, was I know like SPD. I watched RPM. I didn't watch, like, I watched a little bit of Samurai, but I fell off of Samurai, and after Samurai really kind of just like downhill, you know what I mean? Like from like Wild Force, when I really could, like, I watched Mighty Morphin after, like I knew of Mighty Morphin, but like when I was born 98, so like when I really kind of like started getting toys and watching Rangers, it was around like 2000, 2001, maybe 2002. So like that's when, you know what I mean? Like they just started doing like Mighty Morphin and shit like Wild Force and shit like that. So like that's when I kind of started getting into it and stuff.
That makes sense. I was born in
Ninja Storm.
Yeah, for sure. Me and Jeremy were both born in '88, so we're 10 years older than you. So we grew up like as Mighty Morphin was airing as kids. So that was like, that was huge for us, obviously.
But like I always knew of Mighty Morphin. They always played it. But like I grew up on like Wild Force and the Ninja Storm, and then like, you know what I mean, like SPD and Mystic Force and all that good stuff. Time Force. I watched Time Force too, but that was like after the fact because they had the same thing where like they were leading up to the Ranger duo episode where they take both seasons of the Rangers and put them together, and it was the Wild Force season. So they were kind of playing Time Force all the time to let people know, hey, this was the last season of Rangers. So you know what I mean?
Yeah. Last question I got for you, because I don't think that this can be topped now that we've got talking about Power Rangers. We've spent all the time, wasted all this time talking about your professional wrestling career. We could have been
talking about Power
Rangers. Are you familiar with Wrestle Ranger on the Indies? Have you ever seen that guy?
No, I don't think I have.
There's a dude out there. I haven't seen him in a while, but there's a dude out there on the Indies who dresses as a Power Ranger, and like they'll play like the Mighty Morphin theme song during his matches. He's very hardly anyone knows about this guy, but every now and then Wrestle Ranger will appear on like my timeline or on YouTube or something, and it kind of feels like you need to either team with this guy or beat him up. I can't, one or the other.
Yo, I think I may have to team with him. I want to be a Ranger.
There you go.
Where's the Morphus at? I'm down. What's my sword? You feel me?
What color suit are you wearing?
Oh, I mean, like, I don't know. I could be like, I'll take a red. I could take a green. I'll even take a pink. You know what I mean? I'll be a dope pink Ranger.
Yeah.
I like the color pink. Neon pink's fire. Shit, I'll take red. I mean, if he, what color is he?
The Wrestle Ranger. I've seen him. I think he mainly reps Tommy Oliver colors, so I think he's mainly in the white or the green.
Give me that. I'll take red.
There we go. We gotta get this team together.
You feel me?
Yes. Awesome.
We gotta get this team together. Alec, we appreciate it. You doing this tonight, and I do want to give you a chance to talk about Limitless, Hard to Handle, this Saturday, June 21st. You're taking on Desmond Cole. What do you know about Desmond Cole, and what can fans expect from this match?
What I know about Desmond Cole is he's definitely on the rise right now. Desmond Cole is not one to take lightly. I've watched him before. He's very athletic. He moves very well. He's got the capo background, so you got to watch out. You know what I mean? The capoeira background. It's just, bro, at the Vacation Land Cup, he got a little froggy. He wanted to talk that smack. I was putting him over on commentary. If you watch his match back, you only hear nice things come out of my mouth. The only bad thing I say is he just needed to keep his head in the game because the VLC is no joke. You know what I mean? The VLC is one of the top, if not the top tournament in the Northeast right now in the Indies. And I've been in that position where I've gotten to the next round. You know what I mean? And I was just like, he just doesn't. And then he wants to talk smack like I'm the problem. Like he's focusing on me during the match when he could be focusing on his opponent. So I'm going to have to teach him a lesson. Because the thing about Limitless, I love Limitless to death. It's my home. But I just feel like since I've been gone, the inmates have been running the asylum. The kids have been running around, destroying shit, wrecking stuff, all the stuff that I've done to build up Limitless, all the stuff that I've done to make that company a premier company, to raise that world championship up was for nothing. What happened to Limitless? I can't go out and make my own name and come back to a company because what? You guys can't do what? You guys can't hang? The kids have been running amok, putting their shoes on my couch, destroying all my knickknacks, going in my cat. I'm sick of it. Daddy's home and I'm handing out beatings. I'm done. Limitless was up because of me. Now I'm going to have to teach these kids how to work and teach these people who the Prize City OG and what Limitless wrestling actually is. I went away from me. And it hurts me to come back to what's happened. You got a champion out producing bangers. You got nobody stepping up. Nobody's making a mark. I have to come back. And I don't want, you know what I mean? Like, I love Limitless. I'll come back anytime. But I shouldn't have to come back for you guys to survive. So let's go. Daddy's home. I'm handing out beans to every single one of them motherfuckers. I don't care who it is. I brought that company to prominence. I'm going to do the same thing until somebody stops me. Stop me. That's all I'm asking. Just stop me. Because if I'm going to be John Cena for a second, I ain't going to compare myself to a legend. But, brother, I'm here. You're supposed to be doing my job. You ain't doing my job. So I got to come back. That's it. Okay. You know what I mean? I'm just spending some knowledge on Fightful. You guys get first edition, first exclusive.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, you sold me on the match right there. I'm sure many others are going to be tuning in as well, just to see what happens when you return to Limitless.
I just like, and then, like, I think people are gonna be happy that I'm back, but Desmond's got to learn a lesson. And I think anybody in the locker room's got to learn a lesson. I don't care if I got a target on my back. I never did it. I never will. And bro, I don't care. Put a target on my back. I'll walk on my forehead, says shoot me. I don't care. I'm going to do it. The locker room is my house. You know what I mean? And stop me. And no one's going to stop me at Limitless. I did it for a whole year and a half, and I wasn't even being cocky. I just was defending my turf and being a good champion and defending the belt. But like now I'm gonna get cocky with it because I built this, you know what I mean? It hurts. But now it's time for me to come home. You feel me?
There you go. Limitless, hard to handle. It is on Saturday, June 21st on IWTV. Ricky Morton against Channing Thomas. Desmond Cole. That is. Desmond Cole against Alec Price, Becca against Shanae Kai, and Big Beef against Andy Brown. The top matches on that. Everybody can check that out. You can use the code FightTalk on IWTV as well. Alec, let everyone know where they can find you at, where they can support you at, all that good stuff.
All right. So it's easy. It's simple. Anybody can do it. First off, before I even tell you me, make sure you're following Fightful. Make sure you're going on the spotlight. You're watching this podcast. Obviously, you're watching it because you're a fan of the show. And maybe because you're a fan of me, but now you found this, so make sure you subscribe, everything you possibly can. I am the Prize City OG on Instagram and Twitter, same handle. Facebook, I got the Alec Price page. I got Alec Price as my Facebook. Snapchat's only for the woes. And go to my Pro Wrestling Tees and get some shirts. I got merch on me on deck. I'm about to get new fanny packs, new shirts. So I'm about to start cutting out promos on Twitter, start a YouTube page, maybe start doing some reviews, Prize City reviews, maybe do a cooking show, figuring stuff out. But you know what I mean? Keep your eyes on the prize. That's it. Thank you guys for having me.
Now I have to ask, like, what can you cook? Like, what are you good at cooking?
Oh, everything, bro.
Everything? Okay.
Everything. When I was raised, my mom taught. Like, my mom believes that a real man can do everything. You got to cook, clean, take care of the kids, do the laundry, then do all the extra stuff. And you know what I mean? Like, that's what a real person does. That's what an adult does in her eyes. So, like, I can cook everything. I can cook homemade pasta, chicken cordon bleu. I can cook fajitas. I can cook Spanish. I can cook Asian. I can cook anything. And you can name it, I'll cook it.
There you go. I like your mom's philosophy on that.
Oh, bro,
that's a good mom right there.
Bro, that's how I get all the ladies. You feel me? Like, yo, let me whip you up some pasta real quick. Sauce. You know what I mean?
Then you answer the door wearing your title belt across your chest. And you're like, I'm in.
Yep, just like, I'm sorry, I'm just cooking. You know what I mean? The steam helps clean it.
Alec, again, thank you for joining us. Everyone, go follow him on social media. Go check out all of his matches. Again, if you haven't seen some of the stuff he's been doing, go check it out. Banger after banger after banger. There you go. Guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll be right back here on the Spotlight. We are back. Thank you to Alec Price for that interview. We appreciate it. Again, everyone can check out all the stuff on social media. If you check the description of this video, you can see where to follow him on social media. And if you're an independent promoter out there, you can see where to book him. You can contact him to book him. Studio 43, go check out some of his matches. That's what we're here for. on the Spotlight. We interview a lot of independent wrestlers who maybe you have not heard of, and hopefully through our show, you learn a little bit about them, and you'll be more inclined to go check out their matches. But Alec Price is a name probably keep your eye on. If you only watch WWE, AEW stuff, I feel like Alec Price is somebody who you're going to be seeing on one of those television programmings potentially by the end of this year. He's that good, and he continues to improve every single time he's in the ring. Guys, we appreciate you joining us today for this episode of The Spotlight. What do I have to plug? Let's start with twitch.tv/FightfulGaming. I am back doing more gaming streams over there. I know you might be watching this right now on Twitch, but if you are not, if you're watching this on YouTube or Twitter, you can go over to twitch.tv/FightfulGaming. And yeah, I do gaming streams. I'm trying to do once a week. So far, I've done well with that. So everyone can, follow, subscribe, hang out while I play some old wrestling video games over on twitch.tv/FightfulGaming. FightfulOverbooked.com. That is a sister YouTube site for Fightful. I have shows over there. Do a show called FMC, that is No Wrestling Talk, with myself and a person who was in the chat earlier, SP3. We talk about basketball, reality television. Our pal Cher Delaware pops in to talk about her dating life and being on dating websites and things like that. And it's a very fun time, very fun hanging out with those two every single week. We have a new show called Book It with Caden, and this month was with Kylie, and they booked the IWGP United States title reign of Kenny Omega. So you can see how they would book it if they were in charge of booking Kenny Omega's title reign. Speaking of Kylie, Tag Talk every Mondays at 3 Eastern on FightfulOverbooked.com. That is Kylie and Haley talking about the world in tag team wrestling. We have a new episode of New Japan Bread Club up this week. Kieran was in Japan for all the big shows, including Wrestle Kingdom, and Matt watched all the shows, including Wrestle Kingdom. And so they discussed Wrestle Kingdom and that entire week of all the big shows that were happening in Japan. We have a betting odds show. I have a show called The Series where I look at different wrestling matches. Tim and Joel every Sunday. I think Joel is doing some type of gimmick that he's supposed to announce today. I don't know. I don't actually try to keep up with what Joel Pearl is doing, but he tries to keep me informed of what he is doing. I just don't actually care. Well, that is everything going on FightfulOverbooked.com. And if you do happen to miss the gaming streams, those are up on Fightful Overbooked as well. We're doing shorts. Go to our shorts page to see just like clips from shows and things like that. Fightful Select. Everyone sign up to Fightful Select. Go throw $5 over there. Get all your exclusive wrestling news before it is aggregated by every other site on the planet. I was going to say on the site. Before it's aggregated by every other site on the planet. Day After Dynamite today. I believe it'll be on today. I actually do not know because I thought it was going to be on last week on Thursday, and then it wasn't because of the awards. But now the awards got bumped to today or to tonight at 8:00. So I don't know if that means Will is not going to do Day After Dynamite today. Day After Dynamite, typically Thursdays, right here on youtube.com/Fightful. And as Will Washington and a special guest reviewing last night's AEW Dynamite, I pop in and say hello for 2 minutes every week. And finally, the Fightful Awards. I believe they are tonight. Tonight at 8:00, Sean Ross Sapp, Denise Salcedo, Will Washington hosting the Fightful Awards. There are special appearances by some of the winners. So I've been told. I've not been DM'd the scoops. I've not pre-written any of the stories, but that is what I've been told. So that is tonight, 8:00 here on youtube.com/Fightful. Guys, thank you. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thanks always for all the support, all the love. It's been a tough week in the wrestling world. And I hope everyone is doing well. And I hope you tell the people in your life that you love them. I hope you give them a big hug and just realize another harsh reminder that life is too short and very precious, and you should enjoy every moment that you have and every moment and person you are with to the fullest of your ability. And I hope everybody is just, it's been on top of the Jay Briscoe stuff. There's been other wrestlers who have opened up about like their mental health struggles and different thoughts and stuff. And I will put this out there as I have done before, is like, if you are struggling, if you are having mental health struggles or just having a tough day or anything, my DMs are always open. Feel free to shoot me a message. If you just want to talk, say hi, anything like that. Again, just give me a message. And I'll try to respond. Sometimes stuff gets lost in the shuffle, and I do apologize for that. Send me another message. I promise you're not annoying me or anything like that. Just send me multiple messages and I will respond. And we'll talk. Nobody's alone. I hope nobody is struggling. And if you are struggling, please know you're not alone. And please message me if you just want to talk, vent, whatever, banter about, whatever it might be. Love you guys. Again, thank you again for the support. See you next week here on the Spotlight.